Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside of Los Angeles, California. My name is BrianEngelman. Today is Wednesday, July the 13th, 2025. And this is the TNAM Daily Show, the TNAM Daily Show. TNAM stands for, what does it stand for? What does it stand for? What's the... That right there. That is the New American Media. Let's put the logo in the corner. We've been doing this for 14 years. And man, I'll tell you what, you guys had me yesterday going back and looking at old episodes, previous episodes. Man, I was talking with John McAfee about similar topics. I mean, got me thinking, got me rewatching these old episodes. And here's a theory, by the way. Here's a theory real quick, just exercise. Question of the day, QOTD, question of the day. I'm not saying I believe this theory. I'm not saying I hope this is what's happening. I'm not saying that I suspect this is what is happening. But how about this with the Epstein story? What if? Just let's play a hypothesis. What likelihood letter grade would you give this theory as a hypothesis to what's going on and why this isn't making sense? There's a lot of theories, and we're trying to balance them. That's kind of not likely, but I see where they're at on that one point. That's actually, I didn't really think about that. That there are so many things at play here. What if, when Trump got involved in the federal government all those years ago, 2016, then becoming president 2017, wasn't it 2019 where Epstein was, what do you think happened? What did we see? We saw one still photograph with an earlobe that may or may not exactly resemble him, or something about a Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton's brother or something. You go, okay, I don't know. You hear what people are saying. But what about this? Imagine President Trump jumps in, figures out what Crossfire Hurricane, Perkins Coie, the Steele dossier, Hillary, the deep state, Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Obama, and all of the RICO case conspiracy charges. What if when President Trump got into office, he set about the long-term plan of sorting this out? Now we're into the plan territory, all right? I generally try to not talk about plan territory because I find it to be counterproductive. It's almost like, I'll just sit back and relax. Superman usually comes through and fixes things for me. I don't know. There's some savior somewhere that'll fix this, surely. That's not a good place to live mentally. So even if you are hoping something like this could happen, it's not very useful to spend a lot of time dwelling on it, because there's not a lot of wiggle room between hopium and copium. I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to have a stroke. Hopium and copium. But let's just imagine this. Imagine Trump gets in office. He hires his people. He brings in his national security staff. He's surrounded by the deep state who are still actively framing him every step of the way. But he also finds a couple people that jump onto his side. And what if they say, hey, here's what's going on. You're up against everything right now, and they're working overtime. Here's what we got. He's like, all right, well, let's get him. Let's take him down. And he's advised, yeah, well, that's not really going to work right now. Do I need to get into it and tell you why? Because I will. You have none of the cards. That's what he told Zelensky. You don't have the cards. I have the cards. We're not playing a game of poker. We're not playing a game of cards. We are playing a game of cards, and you don't have the cards. They said, sir, Zelensky's here looking like he's cosplaying at a high school in Kansas about Che Guevara. Should I let him in? He says, you don't have the cards. What if President Trump was told, look, buddy, you might have like facts on your side, but you don't have the cards. You don't have the Supreme Court. You don't have the Senate. You don't have the House. You don't have the district judges. You certainly don't have the deep state. You don't have the media. You don't have any social media. And so what if he set into plan, look, I'm going to put something together. We're going to get Truth Social. We're going to get X. We're going to win the next election. And we're going to put people in place. And we're going to have the Supreme Court back us on a few things. We're going to gather evidence from behind the scenes. We're going to keep this active indictment list together for all of this time. By the way, say hi to Nimbus. Nimbus, you going to say hi? There he is. And so they've been working on it. I mean, it's hard to believe also. You start getting into, there are so many moving parts that would have to be occurring at the same time for this to be possible. It's like chasing down a 15-leg parlay. It couldn't do this unless this, and so they can't let it out that this is happening, and they have to keep this under wraps, and you go, there are so many moving parts. Not to say it couldn't happen. Trump, if nothing, is savvy, and as a developer, he knows let's break this project up into stages. How do you acquire the land? How do you get the permitting and the authorization, the approvals? What do you put together for your blueprints? What's the strategy? What's the financing? Look at Nimbus. I was asking in the questions if cats in Egypt are, what was I saying? If they were deities, aliens, supreme beings, energy overlords. This right here is your moment of Zen. Nimbus is just like, oh, buddy, that's putting me to sleep. Thank you for that massage. Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, you can sometimes judge a person on how they treat animals. I think that's sort of true. But yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about here. I'm going to ask you the question as quickly as I can because there's a lot of moving parts I wanted to unpack to get to that stage. But essentially, the question is this. What if the reason we're not getting the information that we want is because it's part of something bigger? And look what Cash just said. He said we're doing a grand investigation that's going to include RICO, going back through all of this. And if Trump has Epstein, what if they just shuffled him out of there during those missing minutes? And there's a lot of fake outrage, and Elon's in on it and says, Trump, you're on the list. Oh, they have a rift. Oh, okay. And Trump's like, there's nothing to see here. And you're on the list. And then Bongino, it's reported that he stayed home and there was a flare-up. There was an argument between Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino. Was there? Maybe there was. Maybe people meet with President Trump, and after meeting with him, they go, you know what? We're just going to let him cook. We're just going to let him cook. That's what Charlie Kirk has done. That's what Scott Adams is just kind of saying, like, look, we elected somebody in this position to handle these issues. Now, we're going to say that we still want to know what's up with this and we want to see people brought to justice, but, what if? Now, the other theory that it sounds like President Trump keeps going back to the well on is that why would we trust anything Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Obama and all of these traitors, really traitors, people, civil rights violations, organized crime, theft. You don't think taxation is theft? My God, what they've been doing to money launder through USAID and all of the places, through inflation. I mean, we are being robbed blind. Frankly, Barack Hussein Obama, the standard bearer for the Democrats for the last 16 years, he doesn't like this place. He never has. And you can look at the repercussions of the past 16 years of Barack Hussein Obama's involvement in the United States and ask, how much better off are we than we were 16 years ago? When's the last time you asked that question? Because when you ask that question, it gets pretty simple. At least to me, it does. Man, Nimbus is just screaming for the scritches. But that's what we're all trying to figure out. What's most likely? What's more likely? And it's a story that's not going to go away. But is it something we need to go ballistic on? Or can we set it aside for a second and go, I'm not done with this. You're not getting away with that answer you gave me. That was unacceptable. I do not accept that as an answer. I mean, why can't we do that? I'll put a pin in this, but not for long. You got some sort of plan cooking, then cook. You've had 8 years to put this together. It's obvious to anybody who's looking what these dirty deep state Democrats have done. It is obvious, painfully obvious, what they have done to overthrow this country and send us on a trajectory that none of us asked for. So if you're not taking this stuff personally, you're not paying attention. And that's not a great place to be. Because there's a lot that needs to happen right now. We are in the middle of it, people. We are in maybe the most important time in our nation's history since our founding. It's important that we're connected, that we're paying attention. And it's important that justice is served when you find incidents of malfeasance and abject criminality and treason. It's been hard to deny what's been going on in the deep state. But now it's put together. Now it's sort of all in one place. It makes a lot of sense from a potentiality level. I don't know if it is what's happening, but it's a good plan. Did he plan on getting popped in Butler? Did he plan on... Oh, no, that was staged. I think when we interviewed John Fugelsang, we were like, what did... Or no, he wasn't shot. It was shrapnel. Shrapnel from the shot? Or was it the shot that went I mean, like, what are we arguing? We're arguing semantics. So... Thank you for joining us today. What do you think in the comments? What's the likelihood that Epstein was whisked out, he was turned double spy, and that there's a grand conspiracy plan in place that's going to wrap up Epstein and Obama's, the Clintons, and the Comeys, Clappers, Brennans, the ones that have betrayed our country? There's a way to govern because you were able to get the will of the people behind you. But was the will of the people accurately served in 2020? 81 million completely legitimate votes. Really? You know. In the deep state 2000. 2020. Thanks, Kenneth. Then Mrs. looking at me like, what are you doing? Why are you making that noise? It's because of Kenneth. By the way, hit like, hit subscribe, however you're watching. Jump in and be a regular on the side here. Leave your comments. Follow the New American Media in all of the places, please. Scrolling at the bottom of your screen, Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube at the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. On X at American_Media_. Subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. Also, thank you to our Patreon people scrolling at the bottom of the screen there. On Patreon, we're at the New American Media. Man, the more of you that link up with us over there, you know, it really starts to it's compounding interest. And the better the foundation that can be built with expectations and consistency, a lot of Tetris pieces start falling into place as that expands out. So it's important that you follow us in all the platforms. Patreon is a great place. Rumble, we're still monetized, but YouTube, we got to get more views. So if you haven't ever gone back into our archives and watched an old show or two, I would recommend maybe try it. You know, try to boost our YouTube numbers a little bit. Let me put that out there as the main ask of you today or this week. Maybe scroll back through some of our previous popular episodes, leave some comments and some thumbs up to engage with the algorithm, and maybe share some stuff and let it play for a few hours if you find the content to be compelling. That would be pretty cool.
They say, hey, here's
But
what's
yeah,
going on.
It's hard to trust any one platform in particular when you've been as shadow banned and thwarted as the New American Media has. And it was through going back, since we kind of started discussing it yesterday, but you know, 9 years ago, I'm talking with John McAfee, and we're both talking about, can we keep President Trump alive? We're talking about you and I being on a list. You know, the conversation wasn't meant to be clever. It was meant to identify the sorry state of affairs that we happen to find ourselves in. Like I said before, I think that's the video that got 130,000 views in an hour, and the channel got zapped after that. So it's been hard to build that foundation. So, for example, if you haven't seen this clip, go back and watch it. We shared it on our X feed, but it's on YouTube. Just click, popular views and scroll around. We've talked to him 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times or something. You know what? I actually probably have unseen footage. Anyway, we'll get to that later, but thank you, everybody on Patreon. We got our tip jar, Venmo and Cash App, BrianEngelman, and PayPal. We are at fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. That's all scrolling at the bottom of the screen. All right. Well, I say all of that just to say that this stuff matters. And it's important that we get a resolution to some of this madness. Lighting the world on fire so that you could just be king of the ashes. I'm not a fan of that. And I thought Barack Obama was the biggest arsonist I've ever seen. Political arsonist, divisive arsonist, racial arsonist, really preying on a lot, and trying to overhype and inflame and enrage and to force people to cower and transfer wealth and resources. I didn't like how that dude played the game at all. Zero respect. Now I get being ruthless, okay, but he's out of bounds. These are all things that get to come back and haunt him. because we do have civil rights in this country. Treason is a real thing. And we've seen time and time again where the United States has not been prioritized by its commander-in-chief, by Resident Biden, and all the people behind the scenes pulling the puppet strings. So, yeah, I would urge you to check out, maybe let me just share it again. We put it on X. We discussed this interview today live on the TNAM Daily Show. That's weird. I can't click that button. There we go. And we'll do, in case you missed it. So follow us on X. And we just posted that out in case you missed it. By the way, why is Israel bombing Syria today with the bombs that we provided them? Luke is asking. This doesn't feel like there's a grand...
نعم قصف هيئة الأركان بغارتين. نعم.
Like Netanyahu
قصف بغارتين استهدفت هيئة الأركان بشكل مزدوج من اليمين ومن اليسار. شاهدنا قطع من المبنى تتطاير. حقيقة على ما يبدو أن المبنى قد تعرض لأضرار كبيرة جدا. يا شباب قصف جديد يا شباب، قصف جديد مبنى هيئة الأركان خالص. قصف جديد يا شباب، قصف، خذونا بسرعة.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm watching. Is this, were these round bombs? Were these missiles?
دمروه. نعم قصف هيئة الأركان بغارتين.
These are the bombs that we provided Israel, and why are they bombing Syria today? So anyway, do me a favor and make sure you're following us on X. Nick Adams is. He used to have "End the Fed" on a bumper sticker. We shared that. We have a private group, the Agree to Disagree Show chat. Why won't it let me enter that? I'm sending, but it won't let it send. Well, it wouldn't. Oh, it went 7 times. Okay, I don't need that. Let me delete a few of these. Oh. All right, it shared it 4 times. But yeah, link up with us on X because it's a great way to stay connected in between the live shows, and we can share stories that we should talk about. All right, we'll go with that one. Okay. Nick says they're bombing to distract from, we can't even type that, Nick. You have to type circular Italian cuisine. You can't even type that. That was one of the stories that definitely got our channel nuked, as you can imagine. Because we talk about what people are talking about. I mean, we don't assert fact. We talk about coincidences. We talk about reporting. But Google, YouTube doesn't want that out there because, my God, what if people knew about that? So, no. You have to just say Italian circular / triangular pizza cuisine or something along those lines. Italian food. Circle Italian food. And David is asking, what is the purpose of Israel doing this? Anyone know? I mean, is this the greater Israel plan? You gotta set off some detonations. Why is that word sounding so weird to me? You have to detonate. Probably because I always hear it in that tense. Yeah, they say it's about Greater Israel. It's an expansion project. Doing a little renovation. We're going to put a porch on the back. Oh, are you? Oh, that's so good that the United States just dropped bunker-busting bombs in Iran, and they're attacking. What's going on now? Anyway, and do you see what happened with Elmo? Everybody's talking about all the things. Type your comments in the chat area, and let's start unpacking it, shall we? The TNAM Daily Show starts right now.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining today. Did you see this one on Instagram? The Daily Brian. I guess they're a satire site, a comedic site. Like The Onion or the Babylon Bee. This one says, creature controlled by invisible hand up its ass accuses Jews of conspiracy. Yeah, the Elmo account was hacked. I'm pretty sure you've heard about it by now. But the headline, creature controlled by invisible hand up its ass accuses Jews of conspiracy. How wild is that? Yeah. Elmo jumped in and he had a lot to say recently. Hackers took control. My understanding is that Elmo is back under the control of its intellectual property owners. But yeah, I mean, doesn't it feel like the United States jumps when Netanyahu says to do something? I mean, the reports are that Epstein worked for Israel and Mossad. Are those proven? I mean, define proof. I just watched Glenn Greenwald. Yes, that Glenn Greenwald. You know, the one who was recently smeared because maybe he was a little too effective. You know, he laid out quite an extensive case about the connections. And Luke Radowski's asking, why are those bombs that the U.S. just gave Israel going over here? What did I just say? Syria? Sorry, I don't have the story in front of me. And I got 100 tabs open. So, got people talking about that story, that Elmo hack, didn't it? What do you guys think? You think that that puppeting accusation is spot on? Do you think it's over-exaggerated? Do you think it's there, but it's not as puppet stringy as it feels like? Or, oh, it's definitely puppet stringy? We don't work for them. They work for us. I think it's backwards. Or is it backwards? That's the question, is what I'm asking. Do you feel like they're just America's 51st state and we work as brothers? Do you think they're calling the shots? Do you think the United States is calling the shots? So when Trump tweets out an image of like a greater Gaza or greater Israel, and it's going to be a big resort on the Mediterranean, and they're going to rebuild it, but they got to demolish it first. And there's no way to really demolish. That was the story some people said about 9/11. It was a story about demolishing a toxic building because of asbestos and stuff that it would be more expensive to just detonate it than renovate it. So they destroyed it in a terror attack. That's the accusation of, was it Larry Silverstein or Stein or something? Look at California. Look what's going on with Gavin Newsom over there. They're saying that they want the ability to buy up this property at bargain basement prices. Now that they cleared everything out, they want to put low income housing there, build some projects. Yeah. Oh, if I could only be so unfortunate to live in the housing projects of Malibu with oceanfront windows. By the way, if there's climate change and there's rising tides, you should just condemn the whole area, right? There's no ideological consistency. So you have to then assume that they're up to something. And it looks like they're trying to steal land in Palisades. I'm going to say Palestine, but that's East Palestine. Not so much there, but what about Maui? Did they want to redevelop Maui, an area that kind of grew up real fast, but this underdeveloped area just stayed out of tradition? Yeah, well, it's getting in the way of some mega dollars, mega profits. Clear it, raise it, bulldoze it. We went out to the Bundy Ranch. Go watch some of our Bundy Ranch coverage. That place, that was I was changed by that experience. When they were pointing up at the ridge lines and saying there were snipers here, there were snipers here. The helicopters were flying over, shooting the cattle. The story there was that it was a potential land grab with Harry Reid and the Democrats and Bureau of Land Management back when BLM meant something else. North Carolina, they said, oh, what if there's mining opportunities on these hills, but there's all these hilljack people sitting out there? Well, my answer to that is just buy these people out. Just buy them out. Don't burn them out. Don't wash them out. But I don't think that's how they think. I don't think they care. Pretty sure they don't care. So we have to have a lot of uncomfortable questions now, don't we? Fickle me, Elmo. Funny, Kenneth. All right, here's Benny Johnson talking with Speaker Mike Johnson. Interesting info here.
This is sort of on the heels of something else that a lot of people are asking questions about. And because we've been lied to by our federal government for so long, I feel like there's some type of like there's a pain point, right? In the pressure cooker that gets heated up on issues like the Epstein issue, yeah, right? And obviously that's something that's taken over a lot of the online dialogue. I have a question here about it that concerns either testifying or testimony for Ghislaine Maxwell, potentially before Congress, or if you would support members like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Anna Paulina Luna on the release of subpoenaing the Epstein documents from the DOJ, whether you would support either of those.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Marjorie or Anna about that specific subject, but I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. We look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job.
Reagan also said trust but verify.
It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know, when she originally made the statement, I think she was talking about documents, as I understood it, they were on her desk. I don't know that she was specific about a list or whatever, but she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. I like Pam. I mean, I think she's done a good job.
And by the way, can I just once again reiterate for those of you in Rio Linda, California, I think we need to make sure we keep some of these phrases alive and moving to honor the tradition. I mean, I don't know how many hours you've listened to El Rushbo over the years, but he brought something to the table. You know, I like the entertainment and the information that I go back to. Nick is saying, pull it. Yeah, that's Larry Silverstein, right? Pull it. And remember Tower 7, right? Had no business falling. But yeah, I want to just point out, he's talking about Pam Bondi and then, is there a list? And look, no verbal semantics. The list is the most easy to understand bullet points that we can get. And let's stick with bullet points. There's outer circle, middle circle, inner circle, bullseye. There's shots all over the place. Oh yeah. Oh, Trump is absolutely in the outside circle. So is Clinton. Absolutely. Because they were together, photographed, documented together, while the guy, Epstein, was targeting every president he could. Successfully, we don't know. There's a layer inside of that. Well, did they go to the island? Okay. The list is just a bullet point of the investigation. 6 years in and you're going, oh, well, we're still investigating. We don't want to compromise an ongoing investigation. You're like, dude, it's been 6 years. Stop it. Stop messing with us. You're still pretending to not know who took care of Kennedy. And because you let them take Kennedy out, they got a little bolder. They got a little ballsier. Like, oh, we can overthrow other countries. Why can't we just overthrow the United States? I'm sorry, what? This is like superhero, supervillain shit. And for 16 years with the Obama regime, that's who he was putting in places of power everywhere he could, by hook or by crook. So I'm not here to tell you that I think there's a grand plan in place and that they needed to set up a lot of infrastructure and gather a lot of info first. I'm just saying that it does make sense that if they were seeking justice, it was going to take a little while. What's the Comey connection with the Diddy case, huh? Just slap on the wrist, and is he going to get Epsteined or what? I mean, like, it feels like we're in a rigged system. The Fed is raising interest rates, just more theft, just stolen for doing nothing. Usury, we're doing this. Why are we living in this system? I understand there's room for speculation and room for investments, but why is the general operating protocol of this country to operate at debt? In that system, is that designed to make Americans wealthy, or is this designed to steal from us as if pirates had overtaken our country in a hostile move, a hostile takeover? We're having the most important conversations trying to connect the dots. Patriot Warrior connecting the dots. Pull it. That's what Big Mike tells Barry. Now, that's just a little too far afield. By the way, wasn't the name of Obama's significant other's book Becoming? Didn't we listen to like a decade of people saying, no, you can become something you're not? You can't though. You are what you are. It's not hateful to say you are what you are. No, it's like hateful because like you have to accept us and we are literally the thing. You're not using the word literally. Literally. You're kind of using it objectively. But now, come on, pull it. That's what Barry is told. You ever watch that Tucker Carlson interview? Bathhouse Barry? Ooh, boy. If it feels rigged, it is rigged. Anyway, I just want to get to the point with Mike Johnson here. And he just briefly touched on Pam Bondi. Does she have a list on her desk, or is it the files she was referring to? Did she? We just want the bullet points. We want to know who Who was outer circle, middle circle, inner circle, bullseye? Like it's time to tell us what's the result of the investigation. If the answer is they framed us, we opened it up and it goes, ha, 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 ha. What was that on Jurassic Park where Newman? Didn't he open it up and it said something? I just heard Shane Gillis make a joke about this on Kill Tony. I can't remember the name. Does anyone know what's that moment in Jurassic Park where it's like the thing that Newman's character is saying? And it's like, I gotcha. You've been double crossed or swindled. I forget the scene exactly. But the list is just the bullet points. What do we know? Just get to it. What do we know now? It's not, I told you there wasn't literally a little black book. I'm not talking. Just give me the bullet points. Shut up. Because when you listen to people deny things, sometimes you have to listen to what they're not saying. Right?
Job. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved so that they can deal with violent crime and public safety and election integrity. And
these are the talking points: violent crime, public safety, election integrity. Redirect it back to that. They've all been issued that memo. You hear Pam Blondie do it 4 or 5 times.
Going after Act Blue and the things that the president.
And you got to go after Act Blue, and you got to go after, well, like you said, the rigged elections. If the Democrats are roughly a 19% popularity party, these midterms need to be crushing and sweeping. We can't let the big blue cities deliver these massive amounts of ballots that are totally counted. I mean, we'll see. The DOGE cuts were made permanent now. They were codified into law. Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote. So now the things, you're not even going to make those DOGE cuts permanent. Well, yeah, just give us, you can't do it on this procedure. You have to do it on the next procedure. I don't know that I hear Trump saying it's a done issue. We have nothing else to talk about. I'm not letting it go. And if one thing is certain, this proves that MAGA is not a cult. But if the story is, I'm not dealing with this right now, the stuff, frankly, they said, sir, why not release all the Epstein files, they call them? They like to call them files. And nobody kept files like Ghislaine. Coincidentally, also Bill Clinton's nickname, Ghislaine. They said, sir, are you going to the Ghislaine? No, I'm going to avoid Clinton today. If the answer given to us was just, they've given us a mess. Frankly, it's less than a mess. Things are missing. Things are gone. Incorrect stuff is in here. Our forensic team is currently identifying what to do with all of this stuff. We've been working on it because they left us such a mess. That's all you had to say. That's all you had to fucking say. Unless... Now for my next trick, I'm going to make all the Democrats scream and beg for the Epstein list. So when I drop it like a hammer, it destroys Hollywood. It destroys the media. It destroys the Democrat Party. Because remember, there's one thing Trump knows, because it is true. Whatever Trump does, Trump derangement syndrome kicks in, and 80% of the other side are just going to jump at it because they can't help themselves. They have been trained, Pavlov's dogs barking, salivating. They hear that dinner bell. Ring a bell and I'll salivate. And how'd you like that? Another question of the day. What lyric did I just, which band wrote that lyric? Type in the comments. Easter egg question of the day. Ring a bell and I'll salivate. How'd you like that? Which band wrote that? So it's almost like either side is equally confusing. Either option is equally frustrating and confusing. And if this is just botched strategy and it's just a mess of messaging, and if this is not intentional, if this is proven to just be a gigantic mess, he walked into a bear trap. He was having the best week ever. He didn't need to do any of this. He could have just said, they've given us next to nothing usable. Our forensic team is investigating. We are so angered. And then you just double cross the deep state and you take the stuff that they framed you with, or you wrap it up in the RICO case and go, look what the outgoing deep state did to try to frame a sitting president. Again, they can't stop trying to fucking frame me and throw me in jail and Epstein me. The deep state and the Democrats keep trying to kill me and overthrow this country in a coup. Yeah, of course that goes into the RICO case. Of course, Bongino and Cash Patel talked a lot of game. Now, maybe you hear ladies talk about the stud, the theoretical dude at the bar that had all the bravado and all the swagger. He told you up and down all sorts of things he couldn't wait to do with you when you guys had a minute or two alone. Yeah, he talked a lot of game, but he passed out on the couch or a 2-pump chump. Is that what Cash Patel and Dan Bongino? Is that the type of bark, 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 bark? No bite. No bite. Ah. Is there really a feud behind the scenes? Is the Elon and Trump feud really real? Or was it just an exit strategy so Elon could jettison himself away in an explosion away from Trump, where some people go, oh, okay, if he doesn't like Trump, then he's not so bad. He can get his company back. He can get back focused on all these other things. In the meanwhile, what he did to clean up the voter rolls will keep the blue cities from producing the amount of ballots that it used to. And maybe there's some sort of protocols in place for the upcoming elections. Taking away USAID money, the money laundering to all of these Democrat organizations, the most astroturfed people on the planet. Fake energy, fake support, constant outrage, complaining, and rioting. Yes, rioting. You're telling me the funding of that for domestic terrorism is something that you couldn't build a RICO case on? It's the biggest slam dunk ever. But are they going to do it? I don't know. Or is Trump just being controlled as a puppet for Israel? Which one is more likely? I don't know. I'm seeing things that are very concerning. I'm seeing things that are, that's interesting. That's possible. I'm not going to hold my breath and think it's that, and by the way, if it is, it needs to hurry the hell up and maybe go before you're ready. Well, we don't have everything in place. There's no time. It's go time. So every day you don't wake up to major news that it's been activated. But yeah, I mean, look, a lot of good things have happened in this administration. That is for sure. David has patience at this point, but we must stay on them. That is true. Elon's putting Trump to the test. Nick Adams never trusted Cash Patel. Nick, I don't know what I ever did to you to make you not trust me, but look, I'm not going to release the video again and re-victimize the women in those thousands of atrocious videos. Also, there are no videos. I don't know what's more difficult on Brian when he does the Bobby Kennedy Jr. voice or when he crosses his eyes like Cash Patel. How about both? One's it's just regional. One's more in the chest and one's more in the eyes. This is a physical job, people. Oh, I tell you. They said, don't work out in the fields. They said, don't lift heavy objects. But here I am every day. Patriot Warrior chiming in with some real insight. Question of the day, got no freaking clue. All right, fair enough. Yeah, we'll see about Cash Patel. But anyway, let's make sure they don't use the weasel language to get out of, there's no list. Just stop. Of course there is. We want the bullet points, and but there are problems with that, as we've discussed. The fake accusers, there's a lot of fake accusers, whether it's Deshaun Watson or Trevor Bauer in the sports world. I mean, Bubba Wallace, Juicy Smollett, like all of Trump's accusations. I mean, lawfare is a real thing. That's how they get you a lot of times. The process is the penalty, and you're just guilty before you're supposed to be innocent unless proven guilty, but they just destroy your life. It's ruthless. And a lot of good people have had to deal with a lot of shit. And we should do better than that. So, anyway, Johnson got the memo, and he's redirecting the conversation.
The president is most concerned about, as we are. So I'm anxious to get this behind us.
Speaker Johnson, this is sort of on the heel.
Okay, I think that was the beginning of that clip. So Gentry Gevers says the California Senate has passed SB 549, granting LA County the authority to purchase fire-destroyed lots for minimal cost and convert them into low-income housing, directly contradicting Gavin Newsom's previous assurance to homeowners that such government-driven property conversions wouldn't happen. There you go. James Woods, who lives out there, said, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are simply going to exhaust homeowners. Yep. The pain is in the process. The penalty is the process. Gavin Newsom and Bass are going to simply exhaust homeowners so their land can be bought for pennies on the dollar. Then the commies can implement their low-income housing in 15-minute city schemes. Yeah, Lahaina, Malibu. Too many single-family homes taking up that prime real estate. We need to knock it down. Oh, do you? You need to burn it down? Is that really what we're talking about here? Yeah, Juicy Smollett from the Dave Chappelle special. Juicy Smollett. James Wood says the days of traditional families in California are over. That was in response to Adam Carolla. You see him on our show intro. He says, Monday morning, over 6 months after the fire, and zero work, no trucks, no crews, no materials. Nothing. Adam worked in construction. He knows something's wrong here.
Do you have any idea?
Do you have any idea?
Lack of research that was done on those products?
Joe Biden says that it's safe and effective.
So right here, a Johnson & Johnson lead scientist confesses Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine was not safe and effective, reveals a lack of research from rushing to release the vaccine, saying people wanted it, we gave it to them. Do you have any idea the lack of research that was done on those products? I mean,
But, like, he didn't know.
There's no proof. I mean, none of that stuff was safe and effective. People wanted it. We gave it to them. It's like, all right, you know what? Cancer patient's going to die anyway. I'm sure somebody's going to get sued for that stuff eventually.
Hi, Josh. Are you Josh Rice from Johnson & Johnson? You're going to deny your identity?
Yes, sir.
And you said that your vaccine was not safe and effective. You said that. Deep inside Johnson & Johnson's global machine is a scientist, a lead scientist.
Watch this report. It's time to hold Big Pharma accountable for their lies and the damage done to our families. Let's start with Fauci. Because Rand Paul, did you see Rand Paul is bringing back the legislation? He's bringing back procedurally. He's going after Fauci. He is very close to getting Fauci. That's it. Scott Adams called him Moby Dick. That's the white whale. Captain Ahab and the white whale Moby Dick. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Kenneth. Try to make a funny quip off of that. There's nothing funny about that. Patriot Warrior over here on Rumble. By the way, make sure everybody's following the New American Media on Rumble. And they have their cool Rumble rant donations on the screen. Those are neat. And we are monetized over there. If the advertisements play, it's like a penny in the wishing well. Patriot Warrior Texas in Rumble for the New American Media says, there is a list. There is no list. We will never release the list. But we just voted to not release the list. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene says, we didn't vote to not release the list. We voted to not give control of Congress to the Democrats. We never do that. We're never going to do that. That's not what happened. They're reframing it the wrong way. So yeah, that was the other thing. They said, oh, Republicans voted to block the list. And it's like, there's a lot of breathless reporting right now, slightly representing and misrepresenting stories. But yeah, there needs to be justice from Big Pharma. Charlie Kirk here says, if someone says mass deportations are impossible, show them this. Iran has deported 1.1 million illegal migrants this year alone, including 500,000 in the past month while fighting a war against Israel. It can be done, and it can be done easily. It shows down here, Christina Lamb reported one of history's biggest expulsions. Iran is throwing out 4 million Afghans. You know, you have no obligation. You have no obligation. And it's not our fault what the previous people did, what they promised, and what they screwed up. We got a lot to fix. So get the CBP Home app, raise your hand, say, hey, I was told whatever, I'd like to come back. Get your airfare covered, head back to where you were, and then just wait in line. Wait in line for a minute until we sort this out, because the people that are here that have not raised their hand and have not gone through with the criminal background checks, and we don't know who's here for what purpose. No. We need to know for what purpose. Every nation has a right to define the people inside of it. And that's where libertarians and I butt heads a little bit. They're like, no, everybody should come and go. I go, but you don't do that with your vehicle. You roll your windows up and lock your doors. You can't just come and go. Well, my vehicle's my private property. The country's not. It's like the country is our property. We're all shareholders in this. And we occasionally elect board of directors members on the homeowners association to make the decisions that define the borders of the area in which we live. And wouldn't it be great if they're not actively trying to shake us by our ankles and take every last penny from our pockets? What if they're just trying to do the best job possible to make sure the place we're living is safe, clean, happy, healthy? Safe, clean, happy, healthy for the least amount of money possible? Tell me who's against that. And you do the best you can. Yeah, we have an absolute right to determine who's in this country. So there's a lot of nations, there's a lot of states, cities that have been overrun. This is not an attempted effort to enter, assimilate, abide by our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, our First Amendment, our Second Amendment, our Fourth Amendment, learn the language, take the written test, become a citizen, or at least apply for a work visa. But to get a work visa, you need to learn English. You need to, I mean, why couldn't we do that? Why couldn't we just do on the CBP One app, CBP Home? Even the farm workers should have to they should be required to take English classes. So if you're going to be trying to drive here, if you're going to be trying to, what did I just say? If you want to drive on the roads and get a driver's license, you need to be able to read the street signs. You need to understand the expectations. We need to make it crystal clear what we expect and what we don't expect if someone wants to come in here. Our house, our rules. Respect them or bitches receive stitches. Trolls receive 86s. Crush of the day. Who knows what that song is? Who knows the band or the author of that lyric? Easter egg question of the day. Yeah, what do we do now? What do we do trying to clean up this mess? What do we do to try to sort things back out when so much has been flipped, turned upside down? Charlie Kirk reminding us that, enforcing immigration that's fine.
Hey, bro.
Here's a video. It was full demolition derby on the parking lot for the car. What do you do if you're out in a situation like this? Type in the comments. What are you doing here?
Oh my God!
There are a lot of people who are having their vehicles smashed up. And there's a lot of people now that he's going back. They're in harm's way right now. What would you do if you were out and this was happening? How close are you getting? Look at this. This is easily attempted murder.
Hey, get your car out of park, bro. Get your car in park, bro.
I mean, this is beyond dangerous. I mean, just imagine if you're out and about, what do you do? This is a huge threat. And you're just going to be lounging around with a car hit you and pin you between another car?
Man, you shoot this. What the f they doing? Shoot him.
Begging him to shoot him. Because at what point is it self-defense? I mean, you're in a self-defense situation.
Hey, stop the nigga. Bro, you gotta fucking shoot the
I mean, that's easy for them to say, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. You know what's going to happen? That person is going to have their life ruined by the Barack Hussein Obama types. Oh, you used a firearm to defend yourself? Well, we're trying to build a society where we don't have firearms so that you're more controllable. That's what the Obamas want. They want you poor, desperate, and controllable. But yeah, Daniel Penny tried to step up and be a good Samaritan. His life was ruined for how long? He didn't deserve that. Kyle Rittenhouse didn't deserve that. We have a right to defend ourselves if we're attacked by idiots. So all these people here are calling, hey, pull that out and use it, use it, use it, use it. Well, what do you do if you're in that situation? It's easy for them to say because they're not the ones that would have to do it and end up in a potential jackpot that could bankrupt you or lead to you being charged with something and go away for decades. All because you were trying to help out. Like, if you walk outside and this is happening in the parking lot that you're in, I mean, this is why people carry. You never know when you're going to turn the corner and need a different tool. I specifically play these because, let's put ourselves through the scenario because, look, we talk a tough game, but what would really happen if we ended up in that spot? Would we go take cover somewhere? Would we end up getting too close so that now we're in the line of fire? Because now if someone does pull one out and it goes past the guy and you get hit because you're a bystander. It's a law of stupid. Don't go stupid places with stupid people doing stupid things. The law of three. Don't go stupid places with stupid people doing stupid things. Getting too close to that becomes very dangerous because somebody in that crowd could pull out something and try to stop that threat, miss, and take you out or take your family out. And how close are we now to vehicles that could get pinned in between other vehicles? I mean, you want to lose both legs? You want someone to go full speed at you to get out of a situation? Okay, she's going down on
top of this bitch. Hey, watch my shit.
And being this close is very dangerous because this guy is making all of the classic moves to be like, oh yeah, no, okay, I'll open the door. And he's like spinning ever so slightly, and then he reaches for his, and then maybe he gets a couple off, or she does, and she misses. The recoil goes too high, or she hits, but it's a shoulder. He empties the full magazine, but hits you. Like, this is a last but it's weird because his door's also bashed. You can't get out. Now other people are trying to get him out. He's and just a wild story. All right. Here's another thing you might deal with if you're a constitutionalist or a conservative or a libertarian. This guy hates MAGA, I guess. Julio Rosas says unhinged leftist stops his car in the middle of the road to charge toward SAS attendees. He attacks a man, runs away from police, and then...
This leftist is going to crash his car! Come on out! Come on out! You leftist, you far left activist, you skinny cracker, skinny white boy! Come on out! You mentally ill skinny white boy! Where's the card? Hey, show me you short-eye boy! Look at this guy! Look at you, bro! Come on. Where you at? Oh, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Put you in the bathroom. Come on. Come on. Come close. Jump. Come close. You ready? You ready? Oh, you want something? Ready? Come on. Come on. Come on. Your car. They're going to steal your car. They're going to steal your car. Hey, come over here. Oh,
now he's lunging at people. No music, thank you. But it sounded like a kazoo. Moments earlier. Protester arrested, charged for a violent outburst outside of Charlie Kirk event. So, you know, I'll say stay frosty, MAGA. But yeah, those are a couple stories of the unhinged stuff you might find. Back to Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein was running multiple things. One of those things was science, and I don't think that the science and the pedophilia were necessarily in the same bucket. He was funding all sorts of people. You just can't see all the different things that were going through this guy.
So you think he was controlling science?
I think that Robert Maxwell was in part trying to control science. I think Jeffrey Epstein was in part trying to fund science, trying to control it. I don't really know. I think he was trying to keep a periscope on everything that was interesting. And I think that his girlfriend's father, Robert Maxwell, was all through scientific publishing. And I think Pergamon Press was in part a control mechanism for making sure that revolutionary discoveries were taking place within a framework. We live in managed reality. We are all in some version of the Truman Show. And you can look at it, you can Google it. I can give you a million search terms, and every time I...
Oh, there's music in the background here. I just realized it. Is YouTube going to use this to make sure they can't share my video to people? And that's how they sleep at night. Doggone it. This is being shown with fair use. If there's music, it's incidental.
I give a million search terms, you'll watch my reputation get torn apart. I know something is really off with this story.
Yeah. The entire Epstein story stinks to high heaven. All of it. Yeah, they tried to destroy Eric Weinstein and Epstein. A lot of Steens. Babylon Bee reports here. Biden's teleprompter assures the nation that it approved all of the auto pen decisions. Biden's teleprompter assures nation it approved all auto pen decisions. Well played. Babylon Bee. All right, here's Bobby Kennedy Jr. talking about some of the positive impacts of MAHA on the U.S. food industry.
You know, since we came in about 5.5 months ago and started talking about eliminating dyes and other bad chemicals from our food, we've had this extraordinary response from the industry. And Brooke just rattled off this extraordinary inventory of national corporate food producers have all made commitments to remove food dyes from their food. And with this addition today of the dairymen and the dairy food producers, we now have about 35% of American food industry that has made commitments, and that's addition.
And that's pretty cool. 40% of American food industry has made these commitments. Now that dairy food producers are on, in addition to the 35% that was already organic and healthy and chemical free. I mean, we are narrowing this down to just say, guys, our people are getting sick from this shit. We need to start eliminating possibilities. We need to start getting rid of some of the things that could be damaging Americans' health. And I saw somebody today just laughing at Bobby Kennedy and saying, to save us from gasps, seed oils. Oh no. I'm like, are you really going pro seed oil now? Just because that was this is one of these people I scroll past 10, 20 times without mentioning. I 30. I'm like, just to kind of keep the pulse on crazy. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now you're marginalizing the efforts to remove potential toxins and poisons from our diet. You can't even give the flowers for that. You have lost your mind with the Trump derangement syndrome, lady. Yeah, ill equals profits, unfortunately. But thank you, Bobby Kennedy. This is doing the work, taking steps. Nate Friedman doing the work here. Take a quick look at this.
Every illegal immigrant I spoke to living in this 4-star hotel in New York City told me that it was closing this June, and yet they're still living here for free. I even saw New Yorkers confused that the Row Hotel was still open, and that's when I exposed the people who are still getting rich off this migrant crisis.
This is the last one.
Spoke to, yes, my friend.
Are you on the news? Oh, yeah. I can't know.
Oh, no.
She's quite literally running away from the truth. Luckily, the logo on her scrubs was enough for me to investigate. It says DocGo, which is a mobile health services company. Now, DocGo got $432 million in a no-bid contract to oversee 32 migrant shelters in New York for just, get this, 1 year. In a separate deal, DocGo got another $41 million in taxpayer money to manage an all-men's migrant shelter in Long Island City. Almost all the shelters I've been to have been run by non-profits, but DocGo is not only a for-profit company, but it's listed on the NASDAQ. Now, when the contract finally went through in September of 2023, the stock actually took a nosedive. DocGo got so much scrutiny for this deal because even the city comptroller Brad Lander, who endorsed Zoran Mamdani for mayor, refused to approve this contract. His office simply stated that a company who has little experience in mass housing and undisclosed subcontractors shouldn't take over this massive project. What many don't know is that DocGo was already working with the migrant shelters before this $432 million contract went into fruition.
Okay, but keep in mind, your country, our country, America, is being changed block by block, city by city, state by state, to be changed into something different. Palisades, Lahaina, North Carolina, Hurricane Helene, Springfield, Ohio, Minneapolis, New York, Los Angeles. Pick which place. They're all over the place. We're busy working on building a country that works, a country that makes sense, a country where we should be able to thrive. But we've been robbed. blind by some of the people that we put into a position to try to help us. And it's essentially, you're just outsourcing it. It's like, yeah, I'm in an HOA. I don't want all the headaches. Is there anybody here that has a little extra time that could volunteer to kind of keep an eye on this stuff while I do the other things? I guess I could. Well, at what point when that person that's doing that, and then they start working to make your area worse, make it more expensive, more crime, less clean, more dirty, more expensive, and to take more and more power from themselves and less for you, and they start getting actively abusive toward you. Yeah, at what point do you cast the shackles of that system off? See, that's the question. When this dude said, give me liberty or give me death. Question of the day, who is that? Who's that saying, give me liberty or give me death? Not my merch yet. Paradise, California was burned out. When was Paradise? And where is Paradise? Is that just right by Malibu as well? Paradise Cove? But block by block, they, whoever they are trying to change the demographic of America permanently. They're funding it. They're orchestrating it. Yeah, we have every right to undo this and hit reset and go, hold on a minute. I don't care what these previous people were up to. New sheriff in town. Everybody, party's over. Everybody out. Oh, we lights on. Everybody out. We're closing up. Everybody out. For what purpose? Is it for assimilation or is it for invasion? I think a lot of us feel that this has been an invasion. It's been aggressive. It's been violent. It's been antagonistic. It's been criminal. It doesn't feel like people are helping us. It feels like people are attacking us. Ask Lake and Riley. Ask a lot of people. Patrick Henry.
And it was not going well, to say the least. .go hired unlicensed security guards, and then they billed $1.7 million for thousands of unused hotel rooms, pocketing over $400,000 in commissions for those vacant beds. .go also not only hired those unlicensed security guards, they paid them $2 million beyond their billable hours and used dozens of subcontractors that were not even approved by the city, one of the contractors getting $42 million. I also don't know how much those subcontractors were doing, considering physical inspections uncovered mold, missing amenities, pests, and other safety violations in 80% of the rooms.
So how does that make anything better for anyone?
Now, despite all of that, Eric Adams overrode Lander's rejection and instead insisted on moving forward with .go. Adams went on to praise .go, calling them effective, and even extended the contract to the end of 2024, but it's the middle of 2025 and I saw a .go jacket in a migrant shelter. So just how much is being hidden from the American people? Now I'll tell you what is no longer hidden. The brother of the chairman of .go runs a real estate investment firm named Vasco Ventures that just so happened to pick up 2 properties before his brother signed the deal to make them migrant shelters. That means that his family got rich off tax money and directly benefited from insider knowledge. Every illegal immigrant
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Agree to Disagree here at thenewamericanmedia.com and the new place where you come to get information, the new way of digging into a story, the new way of hearing about things that are happening. The corporate propaganda, that machine is broken down, crumbling, failing. It is done. It's over. It's never coming back the way that it used to be as long as we have an internet. Let that sink in for a second. As long as an internet exists, we are never going to be ruled by the corporate media elites ever again. So now I've done shows with Stuart Rhodes from Oath Keepers, and we talked about the internet being our best weapon in defense of liberty, freedom, having fun, doing the things we want to do, having a good time, being as responsible as we can be so as not to harm another individual, but still living our own life our own way, not being told what to do, not being spied on. Unfortunately, the United States government has been creeping outside of our windows, looking through the bushes, lurking, listening to your family, watching your family. You, what are you up to? What are you saying? WikiLeaks has done, yet again, something amazing. I can count on a couple of, it's only a few times where vindication, that's probably the best way to phrase this, vindication has occurred. I would say Edward Snowden with the NSA revelations. And this one is a big one. You know, I've had tape over my camera for a long time. I've known about this stuff for a long time, but it sure is nice to get some vindication. So you're not the crazy guy with the tinfoil hat in the room, oh, you're so paranoid. No, man, it's just happening, and I've been researching and paying attention. Shouldn't you have done a little bit of that? And at least if you're not going to do that, maybe not make fun of the people that are doing the heavy lifting. Well, look, I'm blessed today to bring in John McAfee, American computer programmer. I mean, this guy, we interviewed him during the Libertarian run. He was in contention, trying to become the Libertarian candidate for president in 2016. And that didn't happen, but him and Judd Weiss definitely got a lot of people thinking and talking. And we've been talking with him ever since, and I just said, look, man, you're my phone a friend for this type of thing. Walk me through what we know about this leak, about what WikiLeaks has done. Give me all the information that I can get about Weeping Angel, about this Vault 7 data dump. Umbrage. Umbrage is the one thing. Man, is this the most important thing. I'm just going to bring John in and we can talk about it. Seriously, I could do a show yapping on my own, but why have a guest if I'm just going to ramble? So let's get John into the program. Maybe we'll start with umbrage.
Hello? Umbrage. Good word.
Yes, it is a good word. John, you are live, sir. Welcome to the program on Agree to Disagree here at the New American Media. It's a pleasure to have you back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm not very agreeable tonight, so I may not agree.
All right, then we can agree to disagree on that point. Well,
perfect.
Let me. Yeah, you heard me talking about umbrage in the open, and I think that's one of the most significant things about this data dump from WikiLeaks. I'm just going to kind of step aside if you can maybe set us up on what do we need to know about what just happened today. We all woke up to a different world, I think.
Well, I think the CIA just got nuked. Literally. I do not see how they are going to recover from this. We have a new administration who is likely to dismantle that entire organization and restart from scratch, and which I pray to God is what's going to happen. So basically, WikiLeaks dumped an astonishing variety of records on us. That indicated that the CIA has basically been a puppet for Obama for the past, well, who knows for how long, certainly the past 4 years, to the point that the amount of money he was dumping into the hacking group that was hacking American citizens and American businesses was so great that they created a GIF showing Obama showering $100 bills in the air, as sort of a thanks. I mean, it blows my mind.
Yeah, what we have seen right now, back to the umbrage that, man, I got so many questions. We only have you for a half hour, so I got to try to be as quick as I can here. So forgive me if I'm sped up a little bit, but with what Obama's been doing with CIA as the puppet, real quick, it's a question I just thought of as a follow-up. Does that make it even more remarkable, whether you like him or not, does that make it even more remarkable that Trump was able to beat Hillary Clinton?
Yes, good heavens. It makes me wonder about my sanity. Because, how could this have happened? I think what happened is that I think the old administration became so prideful in their powers, given that the CIA was listening to everybody,
right,
or at least had the power to listen to everybody. Every Windows system in the world, every Android system, and every iOS system, the CIA could instantaneously get into your operating system through a secret backdoor. And when businesses stopped cooperating with the CIA, they would plant employees within those businesses that would create those backdoors. So, they had you by the short curlies either way. But if you had any of those systems, then if they wanted to watch you, listen to you, read your emails, your text messages, look at your contacts, listen to your voice, watch you, piece of cake, trivial. And they have been doing this. I'm still trying to find out when it started. I do not have a clue, but certainly for the past few years.
All right, I got another question here then. Whether Pizzagate, and we go to another famous dump, but this was actually more of Podesta falling victim to a phishing scam. So this wasn't even hacked, by the way. At least that's my understanding, John. It
was a phishing scam which he fell for.
Right, he fell for a phishing scam. But whether it's Pizzagate or whether it's all of the child abuse rings that are happening, whatever you want to call it, it just makes you wonder sometimes about the people that are doing heinous things and getting away with it. If allegedly the good guys are listening to everything, you think about the Pablo Escobars, who just came out and said he was a CIA asset. I mean, everything's hitting the fan right now, John. I mean, where do you pick some of the most significant things that are going to shake out of this? There's so much to talk about.
Well, I think that there will be a total restructuring of our covert agencies. Whether this will reach into the military or not, I do not know. But certainly, even externally, even without these dumps, it became really clear that the FBI and the NSA, at least, had so overreached their constitutional bounds that it was unbelievable. And the ambition that James Comey and the FBI had was so far beyond acceptable that it boggled my mind that they were asking for the things they were asking for. For example, the San Andreas iPhone, that they went to Apple and said, we would like a master key to all iPhones so that when this happens again, we can just get right into it. And I called bullshit. I went on CNN last year and I debated the FBI mouthpiece, Mr. Rogers, one of the slickest men I've ever spoken to, by the way, for 15 minutes. And finally, at the end of that 15 minutes, he said, well, sir, maybe we can work together on this. And I knew that was bullshit. The FBI would never even, acknowledge that I existed outside of the realm of television.
Right. I mean, I remember being there at Judd's when I first met you, and we talked about that a little bit, and then we brought you in in the run up to Orlando when you were running for the Libertarian presidential nomination. And yeah, the whole San Bernardino thing was really weird. It shot your spidey senses tingling from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
You didn't believe a lick of it.
It put shivers down my back.
All right. Well, something occurred just there that I needed to address. So I just went to that. I've been telling you about the video. I've been watching it. So that was at least the first few minutes of that episode. All right. Let's get back to it. Yeah, the migrant crisis. It's just, it's not a crisis. It's colonization from Obama and his team. Very specific, very intentional. You know, Gavin Newsom keeps wanting to get out and do interviews and talk, but the more he talks, the more it's understandable why nobody likes the Democrats.
What about for your values? I mean, is 8 years old too young?
Yeah, I mean, look, I now that I have a 9-year-old, just became 9. Come on, man, I get it. So those are legit. You know, it's interesting. Just the issue of age. I haven't. It's interesting. As someone that's been so focused on equality, broadly, LGBT rights, particularly gay marriage. Mm-hmm. The trans issue for me is also novel. It's over the last few years. I'm trying to understand as much as anyone else. Whole pronoun thing, trying to understand all of that. Well, you know, that was like the hell. I mean, all that stuff. I get it.
What about?
Have you ever heard a word salad like that? One more time. This is the mental gymnastics necessary to speak so much and say so little is almost astonishing. This is the most cringy answer since Kamala Harris.
For your values, I mean, is 8 years old too young?
Yeah, I mean, look, I now that I have a 9-year-old, just became 9. Come on, man, I get it.
Being asked if an 8-year-old should have unnecessary genital mutilation performed on him, or him or her.
So those are legit. You know, it's interesting. Just the issue of age. I haven't. It's interesting. As someone that's been so focused on equality, broadly, LGBT rights, particularly gay marriage. Mm-hmm. The trans issue for me is also novel. It's over the last few years. I'm trying to understand as much as anyone else. Whole pronoun thing, trying to understand all of that. Well, you know, that was like the hell. I mean, all that stuff. I get it.
What about for your values? I mean, is
there's Gavin Newsom, everybody. Answer the question, Gavin. Yikes. Hey. So, are you aware of this story? Are you aware of this one? Oh, yes. Of course. Democrat District Attorney Amy Padden of Colorado is set to be recalled for her decision to dismiss all charges against Solomon Galligan, who attempted to abduct an 11-year-old child from Black Forest Hills Elementary in Aurora. Can you believe this story? Have you watched this? Have you seen this? Solomon Galligan update. Grok didn't give me anything. Hold on. Inactive accounts. No, hold on. What's Grok is acting weird. The news story. Grok is, I want to confirm this. Aurora, Colorado, 2024 attempted kidnap. What's in the water in Aurora, Colorado? 33-year-old registered S offender allegedly tried to kidnap an 11-year-old boy. They said, what is trans, Patriot Warrior? Which one are we talking about? Wait, that's not a lady. That's a guy. This guy in this photo, oh man, I'm not showing you the right picture. This dude is a literal zombie. Let's see what X says. Grok says. He's a registered offender, tried to kidnap an 11-year-old boy at recess at Black Forest Hills Elementary. Surveillance captured Galligan entering the school playground, approaching a group of children, lunging at one boy while holding a white blanket. The boy escaped when Galligan tripped, and other children alerted adults by yelling, "Stranger danger." Galligan's criminal history includes a 2011 conviction for non-consent S activity contact and a January 24 arrest for failing to register as an S offender. Charges dropped July 12. 18th District Attorney announced plans to drop charges, including one count of attempted kidnapping, in some reports, child abuse, following a June 24 court-ordered mental competency evaluation that deemed Galligan mentally incompetent to stand trial. So you should put him away forever. Something is wrong with this creature. You can also put it out of its misery. Child abusers have a recidivism rate through the roof. You want to give somebody one chance to get their life together? I'm not going to agree. Maybe you meet in the middle with one opportunity. This dude already has strikes against him. This demon. Mentally incompetent to stand trial, Colorado law requires dismissing charges in such cases. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no, you don't release this back into the community. Hell no. This is a character out of The Walking Dead. Do you see this creature? The convicted S offender, demon, going after another kid, trying to steal another kid. Yeah, mentally incompetent. That seems to be the new thing here. Oh, no, Colorado. No, 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 no. Galligan will not be released to the public, but transferred to an unnamed mental health facility for involuntary treatment, civil commitment. This is the fourth time in less than a decade that fourth time in less than a decade, 4 times in 10 years, felony charges against Galligan have been dropped due to competency issues. You don't let the fucking crazy guy back out. I'm sorry. Did this become a hot button topic? A third rail issue? Oh, wow. This is a really controversial stance you're taking. You're telling me 4 times this Walking Dead zombie has had felonies dropped because he's too crazy to be held accountable. So you keep letting him out to keep causing problems, to keep damaging families? Fuck you and fuck that. Your kid's at the playground and this creature goes over and grabs your kid. What do you think we should do with this person? No, don't type something that we can't type into the comments. You got to be like Howard Stern on terrestrial radio. Say what you're saying without using keywords or key phrases that are going to trigger the fact that this show can't be shared. Be careful with what you type. You should always be careful with what you type. And you know, it's not always perfect, but this demon is attacking children. You know what you do to things that attack children? Have you ever watched Old Yeller? Have you ever heard of the death penalty? Have you ever heard of capital punishment for people that abuse kids? You certainly never let this thing see the light of day again. I'm not saying abuse this creature, but you definitely do not let it out to prey like a zombie on children. Are you out of your goddamned minds? There is nothing bleeding heart about letting something like this out to damage children again. You damage a child once, you're done. Twice, what they say, 4 felonies in 10 years? If what Grok is telling me is accurate. According to Grok, it's the 4th time in less than a decade that felony charges against Galligan have been dropped due to competency issues. Parents like Dante White expressed fear and frustration, citing the scary surveillance footage. Aurora City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky, Republican, is leading a recall effort against Democratic DA Amy Padden starting the week of July 15th, arguing the decision reflects a progressive attitude. Galligan's niece, Amanda Morris, and sister, Sarah Galligan, noted his history of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, expressing concern about repeated releases due to competency rulings. Help them by keeping this guy in jail. Keep him in a mental health ward for the rest of his life. Or convict him with a capital charge. You don't let him, he's lost free-range privileges. Some sources note 2011 Facebook posts about gender transition, identifying as transgender, which fueled the conservative criticism of DA Padden, with figures like Steve Bannon, Laura Loomer questioning the handling of this case. However, the competency ruling, not gender, is the legal basis for dismissing the charges. So what is the story about this gender? You don't transition. You got to take the language back. Unnecessary genital mutilation, massive hormone replacement. I mean, what could possibly be causing someone to snap with reality? Charges expected to be formally dropped soon, pending a hearing later in July. Galligan remains in custody until transferred to a mental health facility. The case could be refiled if Galligan is later deemed competent, as the dismissal is without prejudice. So hold him, make him competent, then make him stand trial. Guys, I mean, we are... Evil is running wild. And we need competent people in positions to handle stuff. Let's talk about the ICE agents trying to get all of the monsters out of our country that snuck in under cover of darkness. Not every migrant is a bad person. I never said that. I agree with that thought completely. Not every... And you know what we're going to do? Everyone who snuck in, we're turning the lights on at the nightclub. Everybody out the back door. Come on. You don't have to... Everybody out. Clearing the club. You want to come back in the front door, show me your wristbands. And anybody that doesn't have a wristband, you're not here legally. There's a process. Go make yourself known on the CBP Home app. We are in a strange situation. And how many creeps snuck in? Well, it's time we filter and find out. Filter and find out. We've got a right to do that. Nay, a responsibility to do that.
ICE agents need to unmask and show their IDs to prove that they're real ICE agents.
Now, look, I agree that these people should have someone with them, an attorney of sorts, that could present. This could be a government, it would be a law enforcement official, but they'd be serving as a legal liaison. And they would be out there, and they would hand these people, I don't even know what's going on. And say, sir, my name's Sergeant, and that, or officer, or constable, or attorney number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm identified this way because to protect the identities of the ICE agents. Here's a card. This is the number of the operation that's occurring right now. This is why it's happening. This is what happens next. They're going to be taken to this detention facility. Here's the phone number for that facility and the address for that facility. And here's the phone number for general counsel, because the leftists across the country have volunteered pro bono to grab these cases so that they could quickly determine what needs to happen next. Does everybody have to get thrown out? Could they raise their hand and go, I've been working here for a while. I got no criminal record. Could you please just run my stuff? Can I something? I'm okay with some sort of a process. I don't like that faces are covered and you're just being thrown in an unmarked vehicle. Somebody should be there handing you paperwork to say, this is an operation that's occurring right now. So this commenter's like kind of making fun of the people that say you should unmask them. Well, I mean, I get why they're wearing their masks, because they're being doxxed. We're in the. Have you noticed that the world is at war and has been at war? And a lot of hostile nations have sent covert teams to infiltrate the United States for the past 16 years. Are you even remotely aware of that? I mean, we don't see that every day. We don't feel the impact of that every day. But there are definite sleeper cells around. Lots of explosions in a lot of places. So yeah, we have... Wait a minute, was that running the wrong ticker this whole time? Wow, I haven't even looked at that. We ended up with the 2025 NFL Draft special ticker scrolling across the bottom. It's supposed to be this one, saying you're watching the TNAM Daily Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. Anyway, I agree that paperwork should be handed out during these ICE raids and say, here's the case number. I'm officer badge number 15675. This is the operation number on file with the local county courthouse. Call them up at this number. Everybody's being transferred to a holding cell over here. Go meet them there. And there'll be a bank of volunteer, pro bono, leftist, open border, libertarians, or whoever wants to take these cases. You can take down the pressure of that situation immensely. But also, like President Trump said, he's sick of seeing these videos where the vehicles are being attacked, and it's just everybody thinks, oh, well, that's what you do when these cars come in, you attack them. No, you arrest the people that are attacking them, and you start showing that video. Don't mess around, don't find out. Download CBP Home, and don't be a part of this. We have every right to turn the lights on the nightclub on and say, people were sneaking in the back door all night. We're emptying this whole place out of the bathrooms, out of the private clubs, everybody out the back door now. But I do think documentation should be provided. Some sort of business card of this is what's happening next. I'm agent number this. It's operation this. It's at the county office. Here's who you call to get some information. It would ratchet a lot of that energy down, I think.
Well, then voters should show their IDs to prove that they're Americans, and protesters should remove their masks. Democrats are trying to pass a bill that would require all ICE agents to remove their masks and to declare their identification in order to prove that they're really agents. But they are voting against another bill that would require voters to prove their American citizenship. And they don't want their protesters to unmask themselves at protests.
Try to make all of those stand alone. Those three things are simultaneously happening. So they're saying that person, that demon was trans. Was it a guy that was that monster born a man or born a woman? Born a man? Yeah, it looks like a man. The left will complain about something else. Even if they do show IDs, it'll never end. Well, that's true as well. That's several things can be true at once. Yes, absolutely. If you looked in the crystal ball, that would be accurate.
Senator Cory Booker and Alex Padilla just introduced the Visible Act. They want ICE and CBP agents to visibly display their agency ID numbers and no masks during public operations. Because according to these lunatics, according to these officials, they say it's safer, it's transparent, and necessary after ICE showed up in unmarked cars with masked agents. Maybe it's because all of the left-wing media is advocating for them to be unalived. Because now liberals are saying that they have the right to know if they're dealing with legitimate agents. We have the right to know if legitimate citizens are voting.
And we have the right to know if legitimate citizens are in our country. All these things can be true. Nick says, cops are a huge issue in this country. We took a lot less from the redcoats. I know you won't agree, but that's where I'm coming from. I mean, look, I agree on some level with that. Yeah, absolutely. On some level, I agree. In fact, one of my first national appearances was on Coast to Coast AM with John B. Wells. I was on a couple times. And on one occasion, it was the Fullerton, California killing of Kelly Thomas. That was a video I wish I could unwatch. I wish I could unlisten to. And those guys got away with it. You know, we've talked about Edward Snowden and John McAfee and all the government abuses to spy on everything about you. And it's creepy. It's bad. That's also true. That's 100% true. But there's a lot that goes into trying to keep your community safe. Do we have to tackle all the bad guys, or can we outsource that to some people? I mean, we have a right to keep our neighborhood safe for our friends and our family, right? I mean, do we have to go hog tie all the bad guys, or do we occasionally need to call cops? You know, should cops be looking at us like that demon looks at kids on a playground, like, I am going to feast. I am a monster. I don't think any of us want cops in that role, but we've seen it. We've watched it. That's kind of what Ferguson morphed into with that whole situation. Oh, hands up, don't shoot. That never happened. He never did that. They never shot him in the back. He charged at him and tried to take his gun once and then charged at him again. But that issue quickly spun into, they did a good job of reframing it, going, well, it's not really so much about this particular case, because it was a strong arm robbery. The guy was walking down the middle of the road. He attacked a cop. He ran away, and he's about 7 feet tall, about 400 pounds, and he's running back, and he goes at the cop, and, you know, it was suicide by cop, and that's what happened in that case. But it's not really about him in that case so much. It's about Ferguson. It's about Ferguson and their quotas and their brand new fancy buildings and all of the reports that they're harassing the people of the communities, specifically certain people that look a certain way in these communities, so that they could get them embroiled in the legal system, so that they could have their money stolen, so that they could live lavish lifestyles. Okay, that's quite a jump from one to the next, but I get it. And if that's happening, I'm against that. Multiple things can be true at once, but the initial story was not anything remotely like how it was sold to us. So yeah, 3 things are happening here. Democrats want to unmask the good guys, want to keep the masks up on the paid agitators, and then they want to make it easy for people that are not allowed to vote. Make it easier for that to happen. None of that makes sense. They cannot all 3 be true. They cannot all be true. So which one is true and which ones are false? Well,
and I just want to get something straight. If ICE agents are going to be required to show ID for accountability, voters need to show their ID in order to qualify to vote. Because if IDs on ICE agents are essential, then IDs in order to vote are also essential. But let me know what you think in the comments section, and don't forget to hit that follow button for your daily updates.
All 3 of these cannot be simultaneously true. You know, I used to have those appearances on Coast to Coast AM. I might have downloaded it on another device. Let me make a note, because I'm going to be going through some hard drives. So I should post that if I can find it. I should post all the stuff. My appearance on Catch 21, the game show. My Coast to Coast appearances, my appearance on Real America's Voice. Anytime I've been doing interesting things with interesting people. That should all be out there. And yes, law enforcement is a complicated issue. It's a long conversation, willing to have it sometime. I'm in, yeah. I mean, that's what we do every show. Newly released body cam footage shows the moment police arrest Minnesota Senator Nicole Mitchell for first-degree burglary charges.
Get on the ground. Hands behind your back.
Carol? Yeah? It's Nicole. It's Nicole? Oh, Nicole. I was just trying to get a couple of my dad's things because he wouldn't talk to me anymore.
She stole documents. I don't know. She's my stepdaughter.
I didn't steal any documents. How did I steal documents?
Nicole, what's your last name?
Mitchell.
You had your aunt Nancy do it.
30 Becker Route 1015.
No one did anything.
Was there Nicole Mitchell in the house? Stand up. Check it.
No one stole anything here, Carol. I don't have anything on me.
Take her out if you want to talk to her.
Not tonight.
Got anything on you?
No. I have a flashlight. That's it.
Okay. Go ahead. Oh, transitioning right here for 1015.
49-year-old.
10-4 or 10-15.
High-profile felony
Becker, you can clear
burglary
1033. 10-4 clear.
It's from April of 24.
1033 at 452. And I see a Nicole Mitchell in-house. Is it Mitchell?
Mitchell.
Mitchell? Mitchell.
That mother, Carol Mitchell's home.
10-4, not finding one then.
She stepped over the intruder near her bed, then fled to the basement.
Get on the ground.
All black clothing and a black hat.
Hands behind your back.
Flashlight covered by a sock and a backpack containing 2 laptops, a cell phone, Tupperware, her Minnesota driver's license, and Senate ID. I don't know the story. She retrieved sentimental items from her late father.
Yeah? It's Nicole.
Ashes, photos, and clothes.
I was just trying to get a couple of my dad's things because he wouldn't talk to me anymore.
She stole documents. I don't know. She's my stepdaughter.
I didn't steal any documents. How did I steal
A
documents?
blue crowbar near an egress window.
Mitchell.
You had your aunt Nancy do it.
30 Becker Route
No one
1015.
did anything.
Was there Nicole Mitchell in the house?
Check
it.
Trial started
No one
2
stole
days
anything
ago.
here, Carol.
Wild case. Yeah, she dressed up like a burglar from Looney Tunes. I mean, does she have a right to her father's stuff? I mean, it gets a little wonky with family, I guess, but I was very unaware of that story. All right, if this fake news is going on, Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to correct the record here with Benny Johnson.
Something real quick.
Please.
So it's being reported that House Republicans unanimously voted to block the release of the Epstein files, and I want to straighten out the record right now. That is not true. If I could vote, okay. If I could vote to release the Epstein files, guys, you would have my vote. I would vote yes. Here's what just happened. It was a procedural vote, and we have these all the time. It's called a PQ. It's voting on the previous question. And if the Democrats had won the previous question, which I know sounds insane, it's one of these crazy rules in the House that are hard to understand, that means they would control the House floor. And that means they could bring up anything. They could bring up impeachment articles against President Trump. They could bring up a whole package of insane Democrat agenda items and force votes on the House floor on these things. That's what we voted against. We never allowed Democrats to have control of the House floor because we control the House floor.
Yes.
So it's a misunderstanding, and I just wanted to straighten that out.
So there you have it. We said we need to get justice from the traitors and the blackmailers already. Just launch the sting already. Justice is due. That was kind of a nod to having some hope that maybe this will all work out.
The president said today you would.
Here's Pam Bondi, though. Does this give you confidence, or what's your vibe? What's your takeaway from this? During a press conference at the Department of Justice, Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked multiple questions about releasing more info related to Epstein files. Tension between her. Well, here, just listen.
Release credible files related to Mr. Epstein. Are you prepared to do that, and when would you do it?
Are you prepared to release credible files on Epstein?
Our memo today, our memo speaks for itself, and we'll get back to you on anything else. I haven't seen all of his statements today. Thank you.
To respond to the MAGA base that has expressed a lot of frustration about it.
We're going to fight to keep America safe again, and we're fighting together as a team. That's what's so important right now. You know, we've got a war on drugs. We've got a war on human trafficking. We've got cartels in this country, and we are going to do. We've got foreign adversaries around this world as well, and we're all going to work together as a team to fight to keep America safe again. And I can tell you that's what we're all committed to.
Disruption at the leadership of DOJ and the FBI with your relationship with Dan Bongino that is affecting the operations of
No, I'm not going to talk about personnel matters. No, I was with Director Patel all morning, and we are committed to keeping America safe, making America safe, working with our incredible partners at DEA, FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshals to do everything we can to make America safe, and that's what we're focused on. And today, we're focused on protecting our kids. And I would ask all of you, when you leave, go look at that wall outside, right outside this room, of all the fentanyl deaths, all the faces of fentanyl that you have done an amazing job putting up. Thank you all.
People have a lot of questions about your relationship with the Deputy FBI Director.
By the way, let me address something. Yes, I agree on one hand and I disagree on the other. Nick Adams says, LOL, war on drugs. Right. I know. In the libertarian, puritanical stance of the Reagan administration, like, no, man, can't smoke a bowl and you can't have a beer, man. You know, just be straight edge. We know the war on drugs is we know how prohibition worked out. It's not really a strategy that holds long term. That being said, this is a war on keeping the drugs from ending your life. Fentanyl is the poison that's sprinkled into this stuff that, you know, you try to just catch a little buzz or whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is people are trying to do. But thanks to Canada, thanks to Mexico, our neighbors that aren't stopping this from being smuggled into the country. China supplying the chemicals. I mean, it's killing our friends. How many friends do you know that overdosed? Did they really overdose or were they poisoned? It's a big difference. Like, oh, dude was just totally reckless. He did that to himself. Now, I do know somebody that we probably all do, right? Someone that did it by alcohol, some of them that did it by shooting up, some that did it by whatever, pills. There's all sorts of things that it could be. But in this case, the war on drugs is to try to keep the drugs free from the lethal poison. If that makes sense. Yeah, well, then there's the war on drugs. How about Big Pharma and their drug? How about Anthony Fauci and the NIH and the Wuhan laboratory? Those drugs. COVID-19 and the response to COVID-19, those drugs. What was the purpose there? Was that a grand plan? Sure seemed to come in at the perfect time to derail what seemed to be a great 3 years of a Trump admin on cruise control for round 2. And the entire world was upended. Could it have been intentional? You're damn right it could have been intentional. Of course it could have been intentional. I think it's more likely that it was intentional than unlikely. Does that tell you everything you need to know? No, I don't think so. But yeah, Big Pharma. Nick says his cousin was poisoned. That's terrible. Yeah, and my brother was poisoned by a healthcare system that wouldn't give him monoclonal antibodies, wouldn't give him ivermectin, wouldn't give him hydroxychloroquine, wouldn't put him on the Merrick protocols with the vitamin C drip, wouldn't take him off remdesivir, wouldn't I mean, a whole laundry list. It was like 30 shitty things had to happen for them to steal my brother's life. And I'm not over it. I'm not going to forget about it. So yeah, in a way, me doubling down on these shows is a way to kind of fight for him. He's been gone 2 years now, 3 years now. You blink and time passes.
You believe that he should stay in his role?
I'm not going to discuss personnel
But it's Pam Bondi, like she's getting hammered with these questions.
matters. I think we all are committed to working together now to make America safe again, and that's what we're doing. Only on topic, guys.
Are you confident you're going to still be here to execute this? Because there's so many.
Are you confident you're even still going to be here to execute this? Like, Pam, you're not understanding the severity of how angry we are.
People calling for change at the.
And you're laughing this off? The only way this doesn't make my blood boil is if there's a plan. Don't make me talk about a plan. I hate thinking about a plan because it's so counterproductive. Very interesting image, though. You see this one here where I paused it? Almost looks like Pam Bondi has angel wings behind her. I know it's just the logo she's standing in front of, but it looks like two collapsed angel wings. You see that, right? It's irrelevant, but it's interesting. But is Pam Bondi a part of a bigger plan, or is just this whole administration compromised and we're working for the blackmailer now?
I'm going to be here for as long as the president wants me here, and I believe he's made that crystal clear. It's 4 years, well, 3.5 now, right? We've got 6 months in, and it feels like 6 years. But I was with Director Patel this morning, and we are working on.
It feels like 6 years. That's a revealing statement.
Fighting violent crime. We are working on all these issues that we deeply care about to make America safe again.
The president said today.
So, what do you take away from that? As we debate outer space, and Tripoli says, we have reached idiocracy. This space program we've push states propaganda. Space propaganda.
He won, definitely. You won the space race.
Space propaganda. So how about it? Oh, a comment here. A lot of these actresses are MK Ultra. Just saying. All right, interesting. This is peak idiocracy. It's got electrolytes. So yeah. Space propaganda. All right. Thomas Massey, usually one of the best members of Congress, says we all deserve to know what's in the Epstein files, who's implicated, and how deep this corruption goes. Americans were promised justice and transparency. We're introducing a discharge petition to force a vote in the U.S. House of Representatives on releasing the complete files. I'm going to type, are the Epstein files that Biden's regime handed Trump similar to the Steele dossier? Is Trump being framed? Lots of questions to ask and answer. But yeah, I think my position on this is fairly straightforward. If for whatever reason we're not supposed to get into this right now, I need to know when we will. It's not going away. I can prioritize a couple of other things. If you need to stall to build your case a little bit, but this isn't going away. So there needs to be better communication about how this is connected. Here's Gavin Newsom, another embarrassing moment from this interview here. I think Sean Ryan, he slips up and says the quiet part out loud.
All these mixed status families, $8.5 billion of tax collection in California every year from undocs. $8.5 billion that we receive just at the state level of taxes. That was the last Pew estimate. So not insignificant. Backbone, I mean, it's half of our agriculture work. You care about farmers and ranchers? If that's what your number one go-to commitment, then you sure as hell should care about their workers. 41% of our construction workers, Texas and California have the highest percentage of their construction workers that would fall into that category. How the hell do we rebuild Altadena and Palisades
without our slave labor? Whoops.
We're going to need a peak next year. We estimate about 70,000 workers.
Yeah, we could have American workers, pal. Hey, how about we train the people who are in jail for nonviolent offenses? Why don't we give them actual skills to work on job sites? And so then they can earn their way out. How about we do something smart like that? Work release. Oh, that's perfect. You give skills to the violent people can really just, talking about the rehabilitatable people. Is that a phrase? Rehabilitatable? Rehabable.
Without that workforce, ain't going to happen. You're struggling here. You imagine it peak there. So I think there needs to be a pathway for those folks as we secure the border, and we own that issue.
Do you feel that they're taking American jobs?
Not in Tulare County. Not in Ventura County. I don't know many people that want a job out there in those packing facilities. I don't see many people look like me jumping at those jobs. I just don't. Maybe there's some exceptions. I haven't seen the evidence of that. Community, all these mixed status families.
So yeah, I mean, Gavin's just openly discussing what it means to be a lawless state in the United States. I think it's a novel idea. The violent people and you touch a kid, you're done. You're done for life. You don't get a second chance in my book. But yeah, I mean, people that are a little bit of this, a little bit of that, something that you could say, all right, it's not good, it's not great, but I could understand a universe where it could be forgivable. Okay. Yeah, get them out there, get them working, train them so then they can actually have a skill set. Then they could they could stay in that career, and then they're employed and they don't have to end up back in jail again. I don't want them back in jail. Go out and be productive. Turn your life into something. I don't want a permanent zoo of jailed Americans. But when you got that creature attacking kids at the playground, I didn't even play you the video. It is Walking Dead zombie shit. Anyway, I have thoughts. Anna Paulina Luna says the House GOP conference as a whole did not vote to block the release of the Epstein files. Deb says, I'm done making excuses for Trump in this situation. Right. And I think my perspective could fit that. I am not done with Epstein. We elected Trump to be the president of the United States. I don't like how it sounds like he's trying to push this off, minimize this, almost as if this is done. There's nothing to see here. We're good here. Move along. I really want to hear, we'll deal with this in a minute. Imagine the moving parts behind the scene and what we're sifting through. And our messaging has been a little all over the place because we were promised things that didn't show up. We were given things that our forensic teams have found out. You edited the footage. You've changed the documents. We're sifting through a crime scene, honestly. Pin it on that administrator, but he's not saying that either. So the messaging is shit, and I think it's time we hold Susie Wiles to account for this. She's the White House Chief of Staff. Susie Wiles is in many ways the most powerful woman in Washington. And this has been a clusterfuck. This whole Epstein rollout has been bad. Unless it's part of the plan, because we all know if Trump comes out against something, everybody else is going to be for it. 80% certainty on anything Trump does, the left will take the bait 80% of the time. And so if this whole blackmail ring is foreign countries and Hollywood and sports stars and actors and politicians and corporate leaders, okay. What if most of these people are the loudest Democrat voices out there and you get to take them all down? Doesn't it sure seem like some of the loudest people might have some of the biggest skeletons in their closet? My position isn't that I'm going to make excuses. I'm willing to put this off for another minute. We've put it off for 6 years. I don't need it today. I know we also do need it. We need it yesterday. And yes, the system is worth burning to the ground if this is how it operates. Like, that's demonic shit. I understand all of these things. I also understand the Cash and Bongino and Patel, Bongino, Bondi, whatever I'm saying. I'm mixing all their names together. They've had a few months on the job, and this is many decades of planning that they're trying to crack the code on, trying to figure out. I just wish it wasn't rolled out this way. I would be more okay holding off on demanding answers if I didn't see what appeared to be a cover-up, an obvious attempt at a cover-up. Is it such an obvious attempt that it's bait? I don't know. Our commander-in-chief is basically telling us, can you just give me a second? There's person after person that's like slowly just backing off, going, all right, I don't have all the information, and the person with all the information is telling us, hang on a second. And it's a perfect frame job by the Democrats, which is what Trump seems to be suggesting. Is that why would you trust the Comey people, the Obama people that put together all these hoaxes to give us an Epstein list that's not going to be a hoax? Maybe he just needs to come out and say, well, what's wrong with the way I said it? I think what I did was perfect. As usual, the Biden, Obama, deep state, Comey, Clapper, Brennan crime family of traitors handed us an absolute crime scene of nonsense and fake news to sift through. It's taking longer than we thought. We were promised that we were going to have stuff that was not delivered. We suspect information was destroyed. We're trying to get to the bottom of all of it. We still don't have all the details. But we can tell you, it sure seems obvious that Biden and his corrupt regime are covering up for something, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. Why didn't they just say that? I could live with that. But they didn't say that. It's almost bugging me more what they didn't say than what they are saying. And that is saying something, because what they are saying it just makes you want to clench your fist and start shaking. You're like, what is... There's a scene in Bad Santa where Billy Bob Thornton is playing Santa, and he's got this kid, and the kid's really annoying. I wonder if I should play it for you. I wonder how quick of a clip I could find. It'd be better if hey, Jamie, can you pull up Bad Santa? Let me see if I can find it as a short. It's this scene right here. Because I feel like this is the scene I'm living in with Epstein. Anybody else?
God damn it, are you fucking with me?
Anyone else? That's what I feel like is happening nonstop. Anytime someone opens their mouth about Epstein, all I think...
God damn it, are you fucking with me?
That right there. Ham Bondi, are you messing with me? Bongino, are you messing with me? Trump, are you messing with me? Kenneth says, there is a plan. After all, we live on a plan. Oh, that's a good line. Greg Gutfeld is such a master wordsmith. Deb says, Gutfeld said, this administration is so transparent, even their cover-up is transparent. That's hilarious. Wait, by Jamie. Did I say Jamie? I don't know. Like I said, I am juggling 14 different things over here, so forgive me. Did I say Jamie? Brian means me. Hee hee. I don't know. Back to Anna Paulina Luna saying this was just a procedural vote. It's not like the Republicans are voting. If you pull up the previous question language, you will not find anything about Epstein. Liars never cease to disgust me. It was a procedural vote that if it failed, it would have given Democrats control of the House. So that's the united message on that point, whether you agree or disagree with it. Babylon Beast shows this. Metadata shows Epstein footage was edited in Mario Paint. That's pretty fantastic. Did any of you play Mario Paint? I think I have a copy of Mario Paint in my video game collection.
There's a pain point, right?
Okay, I did already cover this Benny Johnson pain point. Well, look, the lady that seemed to be a little over the top acting with the Epstein thing, Toria Brooke put this out. It says here, alleged Epstein survivor, in air quotes, or paid actor, Juliette Bryant. Yeah, it felt like she was acting. I don't know anything about her. Just whatever I saw gave me that instant, oh, she's an actress and a bad one. Why? What am I watching? Juliette Bryant shares chilling testimony of waking up naked and paralyzed in a laboratory at the Epstein, New Mexico estate. Bryant claimed Epstein was obsessed with cloning, DNA, and transhumanism. In 24, Cook's Americans for Prosperity and Club for Growth reportedly funded Senator Ron Johnson instead of funding President Trump's election race. Now, Johnson claims Kash Patel's Bureau of federal agents are destroying evidence on Epstein. Oh, Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, claiming Kash Patel is destroying Epstein evidence. However, evidence indicates Epstein accusers may have falsified evidence. Alleged Epstein victim Juliette Bryant claims she saw the late financier shapeshift in the bedroom. The late Virginia Guffey's nonprofit SOAR became SOAR, no SORE jokes, used the same hotline funded by Clinton-funded National Human Trafficking Hotline run Polaris. Cook's Americans for Prosperity Club trying to rescue Ron Johnson. The Cook Network is putting their money anywhere but Trump. Trump can't win. Billionaire Charles Cook releasing a slate of digital ads in key states aimed at Trump. That was from 23. Billionaire Charles Cook releasing a slate of digital ads in key states aimed at Trump. Ads argue 24 term would give Joe Biden another term. That makes no sense. These digital ads were called Biden's secret weapon, aimed at voters in Iowa, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Nevada, key swing states. Juliette Bryant makes chilling claims about Epstein obsession with cloning, waking up naked and paralyzed. Yeah, they said Epstein died in a New York prison cell 10th of August, 2019, while awaiting trial. She went through something she's unaware of. These people were doing something else, and they didn't want anyone knowing about it. They did something to me, and I want to know what. That's why I won't stop until I find out, the model stated. As the hosts pointed out, Epstein's purported fixation with cloning, DNA manipulation, and transhumanism. So, you're doing human trafficking. You want to talk about Joseph Mengele? Was this guy running experiments and offing undocumented kids that were just nowhere to be found? Off the grid kids? Like, are we talking like Hillary, Huma, Anthony Weiner laptop stuff here? There's a lot to this story that we don't understand. I'm not asking anyone to make excuses for President Trump. Not at all. Please understand, I'm not saying that. What if this story is bigger than we think it is and worse than we think it is? Yeah, in one regard, then hurry up and get on with it. Let's go. What if they are working on something gigantic that connects these dots and takes it all out at once? Removes everything by the root, but you got to excavate it properly. All right, that's the question. What if what we're dealing with on Epstein is like retrieving dinosaur bones? Oh, there's a good question of the day. Do you believe dinosaur bones are real? There's a whole school of thought on that. But if you're going to be an archaeologist and you're going to have to dig back and figure out exactly what you're dealing with, it's precise. You have to move slow. You have to be careful, or else you're going to bust everything up. So yeah, what if this is worse and it's going to take a little bit longer to get to the bottom of? I just wish that's what they would say. But then again, it's not up to the president to determine the timeline. With Iran, he's like, oh yeah, in about 2 weeks, I'm going to make it maybe as late as 2 weeks from now, I'm going to make a determination on this. And then bam, day 2. The timeline is one of the biggest and most powerful secret weapons of this administration. They don't know what they don't know because nothing has happened yet. If you start playing your cards and turning them upside down, then it starts the whole chain of dominoes, and God knows where that's going to lead. Unleash the hounds. COVID part 2. If there's one thing we've learned about Hollywood is they're unoriginal bastards. Would it be a pandemic again? Your performance was weak. I feel you cloned it in. Deb's been hearing that they were destroying it too. Oh, that's what Jamie was. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I missed the reference. Because I was trying to say San Francisco and I said San Diego, or I was trying to say Sacramento. I said San Francisco. I did. Jamie, could you pull up that thing that I said about San Francisco? Okay, that's what you're referencing. Editing a clip and tweeting it. Yes. Okay. So what if this is worse? DNA manipulation, cloning, transhumanism. Recalling a traumatic personal event, Brian talked about scientists' involvement in such matters. She talked about waking up in a lab, acknowledging she didn't talk about it much as it was frightening. Clinton Global Initiative partnered with the Polaris Project, funded by the Clintons, National Human Trafficking Resource Center, and runs the hotline. SOAR, that was funded by Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre, used the same hotline run by the Clintons. Polaris maintains the referral directory and global modern slavery directory, ensuring that partners everywhere had access to the information and resources they need. So
if you look at the top of the screenshot from this archive website of National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, you'll see the Polaris Project on the left. We know that the Clinton Global Initiative partnered with the Polaris Project in 2009. So the Polaris Project, powered by the Clintons, operates the National Human Trafficking Resource Center and runs the National Human Trafficking Hotline. If you look at the top of the screenshot from this archive.
All right, so yeah, it's this lady with the eyes. I saw her acting in something. It was weird. All right, let's talk about this. J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote at advancing a $9 billion DOGE cut. McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins were the only Republicans who voted against it. So that's good news because a lot of people are frustrated. Elon Musk, a lot of you, probably myself. What do you mean? They're passing a budget. It has nothing to do with DOGE. I can't believe they sold us out. This, that, and the other. They're going to. And Speaker Johnson was like, look, I'm a nerd, and this is a rescission package, and we can only handle appropriations if they're 3 degrees of separation. But in another appropriations, we could then codify the. And you're like, oh my God, you're so boring. Shut up. Just do the thing. And look, we held tight. We hung on a minute. We let the process handle itself, and it worked out. Maybe that's the case with the Epstein stuff. Because a system that is fueled by this needs to come down, needs to burn down. Yeah. I mean, right. Either there's a line in the sand or there's not. All right, Colin Rugg reporting here. Organizers of the July 17th movement approached these people. Let's take a listen.
Organizers of the July 17th demonstrations approached you.
Interests aligned with the organizers of the July 17th movement have approached us. And in fact, we rejected an offer that probably is worth around $20 million.
$20 million?
Correct. I mean, this is a nationwide thing, right? It's not to say I would have made $20 million personally, but the value of the contract would have been worth around that amount nationwide to organize huge demonstrations around the country. But personally, I just don't think it's effective. So I'm not trying to call myself virtuous for rejecting it. What I'm saying is, I'm rejecting it not because I don't want to take the business, but because frankly, this is going to be ineffective. It's going to make us all look bad.
So I asked Swart who exactly offered him the $20 million. That, of course, was the natural question, but he says he would not say, says he does not talk about who exactly his clients are, that it would be bad for business, and he's been in business.
The comments, that guy totally looks AI. Anybody else?
For 15 years, and he has to turn down a lot of contracts. But, interesting, $20 million is it's a lot of money.
Oh, Brian, quickly, before I let you go, did he explain about why he doesn't want to be involved with Thursday's protests?
Well, he said he had some concern about violence based on what he's seen in the past, but mostly he just doesn't think that it's productive or really making a difference, big picture, about how the country feels about President Trump. And he says he just didn't want to get involved. Have the organizers of the July 17th demonstrations approached you?
Interests aligned with the organizers of the July 17th movement have approached us. And in fact, we rejected an offer that probably is worth around $20 million.
$20 million?
Correct. I mean, this is a nationwide thing, right?
This guy does look AI. Are you seeing it?
It's not to say I would have made $20 million personally, but the value of the contract would have been worth around that amount nationwide to organize huge demonstrations around the country. But personally, I just don't think it's effective. So I'm not trying to call
anyway, that's very interesting.
Myself virtuous for.
I'm not saying he is, but man, something about that video does look AI. Matt Walsh says, I defy anyone to list even one way that the United States has benefited from Somalian immigration. Just one benefit, go ahead. In response to End Wokeness, saying Minneapolis mayoral candidate Omar Fateh calls Somalia our home, even though he is born and raised here. So these are people with dual citizenship allegiances, dual allegiances at least. Patriot Warrior talking about that other guy. AI, he looks more like an a-hole. So yeah, I mean, are we electing people to represent Somalia, or electing people to make America as great as it can be? What are we doing, guys? Glenn Beck. Here's why the Epstein case does matter to many Trump supporters. It has become a vessel to carry all the hopes and dreams that maybe someone will clean up Washington, D.C. The MAGA movement was built on trust and transparency. We voted for Trump because he promised to unleash radical transparency like we've never seen before. He did it with the JFK files. We saw the facts and moved on when we didn't find a smoking gun. I'd be satisfied if the president came out and said, there's no smoking gun with Epstein either. We can't make a case. But here's the evidence. Look for yourselves. Instead, we haven't seen anything except a video that doesn't even show Epstein's cell. After months of promises of transparency, after Pam Bondi told us the evidence was sitting on her desk, and the Southern District of New York was withholding information, we were told the list never even existed. We were told to move on after being led on. That's why we can't be satisfied with this. It feels like the vessel has been shattered. That doesn't mean it can't be repaired, but the administration must release what they can and ask the courts to unseal the evidence. Redact the names if necessary. Withhold everything necessary to protect the innocent. But let us know why it is being withheld. Be radically transparent. That's what we voted for. If there's truly nothing there, let us see it for ourselves. This is not selfish or disloyal. It's the American way. Do you agree or disagree with Glenn Beck? He makes a pretty compelling case laying that out there. Marjorie Taylor Greene working for us.
I have a big announcement to make. My Clear Skies Act has been filed. This is my legislation to ban weather modification and geoengineering of all kinds. Finally, we can really take the fight in Washington to protect our skies, protect our water, protect our atmospheres, and most of all, protect our families. Thanks for your support, everyone. Look for my legislation, the Clear Skies Act.
All right. Bravo, MTG. Thank you. We all have to breathe that. You don't get to dictate how all of this works. You don't get to dictate our air. Stay the hell out of our air. Kevin Kiley here says, Newsom just declared the California exodus was a myth. Below is California's rank in the U-Haul Growth Index for each year of his governorship. 50th place means that the largest net loss of one-way movers. 24, California came in last at 50th. 23, 50th. 22, 50th. 21, 50th. 20, 50th. And 2019, 49th. I left in 2019, I think. Something like that. And then I officially came out here and figured out where I was going to be in 21. Something like that. A lot of people have fled Los Angeles. And they say that's why they're importing illegal aliens by the tens of millions, because they've lost so many people in these cities, they're going to lose all sorts of congressional power. And by the way, that's exactly why we're trying to make sure you have to be a citizen to be counted on the census, something that will prove your eligibility to be counted as a citizen, as a person in a district that gets voting representation. They've tried for a long time to say, no, it doesn't matter if someone's here legally or not legally. That's a person and they deserve representation. No. What that is an incentive to break the law, an incentive to vote against American values. We're not tolerating that anymore. So yeah, Gavin Newsom says there's no California exodus. Well, that's not true. Here's more Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House under Clinton 17 times.
Visited 17 times. Mark Middleton, special assistant of Bill Clinton. He's the guy that signed him on 7 times to see the president at the White House. The same guy that offed himself with an extension cord in a tree, hanged himself, and then hit himself with the shotgun. Oh, and they didn't find the shotgun. How weird. That normally happens. Mark Middleton. Remember they shot him and the detectives were like, yeah, he did that to himself. But guess what? They can't find the weapon. Weird, huh? Weird that they're eerily quiet. So there's that's another huge piece of the puzzle. I mean, I get that if you're trying to lay this out, there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done. If there's a plan, which I'm not suggesting, I'm just saying. I can't find another excuse that makes sense. Hustle Bitch says nearly 3 minutes of Epstein footage has been removed, including the missing minute. New metadata reveals Epstein's prison video was stitched together with 2 minutes and 53 seconds cut out. And the edit starts right at the moment he allegedly died. What the hell are they hiding? The source is Wired. So they released stuff that's inaccurate. They are winking at you very clearly. This is what Biden's team handed me. Right? Or nope, see, it looks guilty. I bet you Trump's covering something up. Patel and Bondi are covering something up. Bongino's covering up for Trump. It's like, yeah, I get that, but what's more likely? Sometimes all I need is the air that I breathe. Yeah, and their other goal, Deb, is to change demographics from red states to blue states. Yeah, died or hide. Hide, exactly. So there you go. There are $98 billion in DOGE cuts, according to Balfour UK. $98 billion in DOGE cuts package includes NPR, PBS, and USAID. J.D. Vance casts the 51-50 tiebreaker vote. Here's a meme. Who radicalized you? No one. You move so far left that you think I'm radical. That's so well done. Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna jointly introduced bipartisan bill mandating Attorney General Pam Bondi will release the Epstein files within 30 days. Ro Khanna is getting some brownie points. Scott Besson is discussing American energy.
That the Rust Belt is no more. It's a thing of the past. The factories that industrialized America, won World War II, and built our modern infrastructure are firing up again, and new factories are coming online. That the Rust Belt.
Yep, bravo. We need energy. That is certain. Benny Johnson lays this out for bullet points. Incredible movement on the Epstein files today. Ready? The Speaker of the House called for full release of the files and explanations from the Department of Justice. Oh, there you go. Now DOJ has to answer. Dozens of members of Congress are calling for Ghislaine Maxwell to testify. The Maxwell family is calling for all evidence to be released. I mean, everybody is pushing this now. Trump says twice that the DOJ should release the credible files. Twice he says that. So he's got the DOJ like dead to rights. Like, we know what you're trying to do. We're not letting you get away with that. Why don't you release the credible files? There are growing calls for a special counsel, maybe Matt Gaetz. Bipartisan support has grown for a release. Massive cultural exposure of satanic predators and elites. We're winning. Stop blackpilling. We want justice for the kids. Let's take a step back. The person that's playing head coach is like, guys, hold on. You know? Now, look, if that coach has us 1-7 on the season, we're going to feel differently than if that coach has us 7-1. And I would say the wins that have stacked up in the last 6 months have been enough to go, all right. I have my own reservations, but this is your call. Keep in mind, I'm not going along with this for 4 years. Keep in mind, they're not getting away with this. This isn't over. They're not done. We're not wiping this under the rug. This is not a cover-up I'm going to allow. But if for some reason you, who have all of the information that I don't, are saying that this is done for now, let's focus on some of these other things, let him cook. He's got a 7-1. Now, if this were Obama or Biden trying to say, oh, no, let's just, no, everything's good. But really, this proves that MAGA is not a cult. They don't follow the man, they follow the ideology. And I think resoundingly, the people have said, we're not letting this Epstein thing go. So maybe Trump's just saying, all right, hang on, just let me, all right, okay. Look at all of these updates on incredible movement on the Epstein files. Things are happening. Let it happen. Let's save our outrage. We've waited 6 years. We can wait another minute. Let some of this play out. All the panicans who are freaking out about tariffs, how many hundreds of billions has it raised? And we haven't felt the impact. There's even deflation. The cost of things are going down, not up. Let him cook. He's earning the right to cook a little bit. That's all. I think that's all a lot of people are saying. Tim Burchett on the Epstein files says, find them guilty and hang them publicly. Bart Simpson here writing on the chalkboard, I will not move on from the Epstein list. That's Austin Peterson. You know Austin Peterson from the libertarian circles? I've interviewed him a few times. Go on the YouTube channel. You can find it. I will not move on from the Epstein list. Now write it 100 times on the blackboard. Eric Daughtry reporting the full letter from Minnesota politician assassin Vance Bolter has been released per Liz Collin. Tim Walz wanted me to off Amy Klobuchar. Tim Walz wants to be a senator. I told Tim I want nothing to do with it, and if he didn't call off that plan, I would go public. The assassin is pointing at Tim Walz for targeting Amy Klobuchar. There you go. Dear Kash Patel, my name is Dr. It's finally being released. How off is Tim Walz? Connecticut Attorney General refuses to investigate abuse of minors because Project Veritas uncovered it. It is the policy of the Office of the AG to not respond to allegations based solely on Project Veritas reports. What? How about just take the evidence where you find it? And they got a pretty good track record. Exposing a Connecticut pastor aiding minors with chest binders. Oh, God. No. Oh, no. All right, talking about ending the Federal Reserve. A $100,000 salary in January of 2020. So just 5 years ago, well, 5.5 years ago, if you made $100,000, that has the same buying power as $125,000 now. The dollar has lost 25% value in the past 5 years. Yeah, it's time for a new system. Della Dream, she's a good follow, says, you know what's great? Despite all this back and forth BS going on with this administration, including decisions I wholeheartedly agree and wholeheartedly disagree with, I would absolutely fly to the fucking polls to vote for Trump again tomorrow. That is because our borders are secure, children aren't being mutilated under the guise of gender-affirming care, and Kamala Harris was and still is a retard. Do you agree or disagree with Della Dream? All right, Dave Smith, who I filmed, if you go back at the Libertarian Convention last year in Washington, D.C. Here he is, Dave Smith, talking with Charlie Kirk. Where do you stand on this?
Is Israel an ally of the United States?
No.
You say Israel is not an ally. That is not an opinion that people hear a lot. Why is that?
They have been constantly pushing America toward more aggressive policies, toward getting in more fights. And just like I always say, if you went out to the bar every single night with your friend, and every night your friend's trying to convince you to get into a fight, and while you're beating a lot of people up, you're also taking a lot of wounds, and you're going to jail, and you're getting in trouble, you got to stop hanging out with that friend.
You got to stop hanging out with that friend. It's just so frustrating to me because I'm here to listen to the quote. I'm here to so that we can discuss this quote, but it's got generic music in the back. And I'm just, either I mute it and I read it, or I let him speak it. I'm like, oh, we found copyright claim on your video. In their algorithm, it limits the reach of videos that, but I like playing this stuff because these are clips worth conversing about, asking you, do you agree or disagree with Dave? Dave is saying this friend, if this friend keeps getting you more and more aggressive and getting you into trouble, more aggressive, more fights all the time, like at what point is that you have to look at that person and say, you're not my friend?
And so I think that, you know what? I also don't believe in welfare, and they shouldn't get another dime of U.S. tax.
Is Israel?
So there you go. This is the major global question of the day. Does Dave make sense or not? Women were gaslit to fear a handmaid's tale. Remember that? Where their pussy hats, the pink hats. Trump, Trump, Trump. Me too. Women were gaslit to fear Handmaid's Tale, but they were told that it already, but they were not told that it already exists worldwide. Look at the abuse of all these women having to wear like a black in an area of the world that gets 125 degrees, wearing all black like a Halloween ghost doing trick-or-treating. So here's another one, a desecration of the national anthem.
Land of the free and the home of the what? A stunt like this would have you in prison for
home of the gays
for life or at the end of your life in at least 60 countries. But in America, you get an applause, clout, and to go viral on Instagram. Don't ever tell me that we live in an oppressive, homophobic country when we have Snoop Doggy Style remixing the national anthem. Land of the
free and the home of the gays is what that was there. I talked about this earlier. Elmo X account gets hacked and makes some shocking posts. Release the files, Donald Trump, you child effer. Elmo says all Jews should something. F them. Donald Trump says is Netanyahu's puppet because he is in the Epstein files. Jays control the world and need to be. Yeah, like cockroaches. Release the files, Trump. End all of the Jays. Anna says, if I find whoever hacked Elmo. Person says, F you gonna do, N. Yeah, so people accused Grok of getting wild the other day. And now Elmo got wild. It's a weird world we're living in when Elmo delivers the news. Ellen DeGeneres, what is this? Is this accurate? I don't know what this report is allegedly from. I don't know this account. Let me see on Grok. Is Ellen trying to regain U.S. citizenship? No definitive evidence she's trying to regain citizenship. Recent posts claim she's applying, citing regret for leaving the U.S. However, these claims are contradicted by other posts asserting that Ellen has always been a U.S. citizen, never renounced her citizenship, meaning she would not need to reapply. Renouncing U.S. requires a formal process, typically in person before a judge, and will be a matter of public record, but no such records have been cited in the available posts. Additionally, web sources focus primarily on Ellen's support for Rosie amid threats to revoke O'Donnell's citizenship, with mentions of Ellen relocating to the UK, but no confirmation of her renouncing or seeking to regain U.S. citizenship. Okay, well, that's what we should do. We see a post, it's not attributed. This accusation is not verified by Grok. So let's not share this without disclosing that key point. You know, you want to dump on Ellen DeGeneres, like, so what? That's fine, but try to be accurate. And I think you might agree with this, Ross DeBoss.
Thing that I'm seeing right now from
Yes,
this
thing.
Trump not releasing the Epstein nonsense is that everybody is able to look at conservatives and go, oh, you weren't just blindly supporting Trump. No!
Never were.
He was the best option at the time, but if he doesn't do what we want, we're pissed at him too, bro. And yeah, now maybe you can believe you shouldn't have got the jab and you shouldn't have let the government tell you to stay inside. And by the way, the wall's not a bad idea, but also they have to release the list. I don't care if it's our team or their team. Hopefully you can start to see some objectiveness in our side now. It's not really a side. It's just we the people, America first. And if you need life insurance, go to America First. Click the link in my bio.
Okay, well, that noise was a little loud for that clip. Thank you very much. Patriot Warrior saying, yes, I agree with Della. Yeah, Della's a good follow. And also says MGQOTD. Yes. But yeah, this proves it was never a MAGA cult. And look how quickly The View can change their mind.
People were dying for this information. There was some sort of list that everybody thought was going to come out, and who's on the list. What's important for us to note is we shouldn't be repeating names that are on the list, because just because your name has not on the list, but in the documents, just because your name is on the documents doesn't mean that you have done anything criminally irresponsible or illegal or civilly irresponsible. Or that you were a client. Or that you were a client. The only really, these documents as I read them, only reflect Epstein's sexual assaults of women and his sexual behavior. So I think that... And Ghislaine also? And Ghislaine. And so being named in this suit does not equate to being accused of wrongdoing. And I think that is extremely important, because conspiracy theorists seem to not understand or enjoy facts. Yes. These are the facts.
There is a list. Trump's name is on the logs, the passenger logs of Epstein's aircraft at least 7 times. That's already been made public. I mean, of course, Trump is denying any and all allegations, but all of that information is out there. Why not just put it to rest and say, release the list?
Because people...
So, you know, he's got them on a hamster wheel. Watch this video. This lady says she was paralyzed for life after taking the shot. Canada said, oh, okay, well, we'll give you medical euthanasia. Well, damn it, I'll just play this. Well, this is the stuff that YouTube and Facebook would censor. They won't even let you hear these stories.
Please stop before you scroll. I was paralyzed by the COVID-19 shot. You will not hear my story on mainstream media. If you do not believe this story or would like medical proof, you can go to my website.
Kayla Pollock, a 37-year-old mother from Ontario. This is your backyard, David. Do you know this case or this lady?
At www.opkayla.ca. That's www.opkayla.ca. The Canadian government has left me fending for myself without the necessary treatments. Instead, they offered me MAID, which is medical assistance in dying. That's what they offered me after this was medically proven.
And this is what happens when you let the government handle every aspect of your health care. If it's cheaper to off you, they'll offer you the chance to go away.
To be caused by my COVID-19 shot. That is not treatment. That is suicide or euthanasia.
Oh, there we go. MGQOTD, major global question of the day. Yes.
I would treat
Remind me
any human being better than that I even disliked. I don't just have to live without my legs anymore. I have to live with massive pain, a lesion in my spine, no bowel or bladder movements, somebody coming to get me dressed every day, to having to be alone in bed when my fire alarm goes off, unable to move. This is not okay, and I need help. I'm appealing to anyone on social media to please share this video so that others like me can find help as well. If we don't speak up, we won't get the help. Please go to www.opkayla.ca to get the full story, the medical records, and the audio recording of the doctor telling you that this is related, directly caused by my COVID-19 vaccine, the Moderna one. Please.
I mean, these stories are heartbreaking. We have to get some controls, and the fact that these pharma companies are allowed to operate without any accountability for the damage caused, it doesn't make a lick of sense. And that's not anti anything. That's pro humanity. David says Canada needs to be rescued from these evil criminals. Thomas Massey posts this. He said, MAGA, we want you to name and prosecute Epstein's clients. MAGA Inc. Best we can do is 1.8 million of ads against the most fiscally conservative member of Congress. Yeah, they're running all these anti-Thomas Massey ads. I'm going to type, we support Massey and MAGA. It's time to negotiate a truce. I really do want them to work together. This is a video just warning about the dangers of AI in schooling and how they're going to be more able to, they'll be better equipped to manipulate you, your social, what do they call it? Social something learning, SALSEO. So anyway, check this one.
All of the people who are so excited about the use of AI in public schools
learning, maybe
couldn't be.
Watch that clip. AI school, Orwellian nightmare. This video here, I mean, what is the story? What is the plan for America if this is occurring right now? This person is purported to be in the Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know the context of this video or where it's being shared from, so let's analyze it together.
Now it's getting through Congress. So before it was by the sword, now it's getting themselves into parliament and then making laws that act as the sword, the Islamophobia law in Canada, M103.
Yeah.
Muslim Brotherhood.
I find that there are only two things which are open to our movements. Ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
I used to say that democracy is haram. Now I say participation in democracy is our jihad. That's our jihad. We're going to fight not through the bullets, but the ballots.
Going to the ballot and voting is now an obligatory action, fard ayn. And it is a jihad that is now needs to be done because this is our modern jihad. You can elect a person who wants the Sharia.
Because in the United States, what we do know is that in the past election, just this last election, there have been over 800 Muslim candidates running for office.
We may end up with about 50 members of Congress in the next 6 years. That's really the essence of dismantling the system of injustice, is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
Now it's getting.
Is that what we want? We want Sharia in America or not? We want Sharia in Canada or not? It's not compatible with the American Bill of Rights. It's just not. Sharia is not compatible. Look at this German judge. According to CJ here, shared by James Woods, if this is accurate, says a German judge lets 8 men walk for. Okay, the Blaze shared this, so I guess I'll assume that it's likely to have been vetted. German judge lets 8 men who gang-ard a girl walk free. The brutal gang-R lasted nearly 3 hours. DNA evidence implicated 9 of the R's. Psychiatrist Nahala Saimaa said gang-R may be due to frustration that comes with migration experiences. Is this real life? What are we going to allow as a nation, as a global society, as humanity? Stuff like that. This Brook Talks Politics says people at Alligator Alcatraz are being given wristbands with a number on it, and they must wear it for ID purposes. I'll say it again. We are assigning numbers to human beings. It's truly giving 1936. Tim Young says, wait till she finds out about Social Security numbers. Communism Survivor puts this out and says, not that facts and reason matter to anyone anymore. But if you want to talk about systemic racism, this is exactly what it looks like. Here's corporate America, who promised to hire a lot more people of color. It actually did. Bloomberg is saying 6% white, 94% non-white. Absolute discrimination. Near complete discrimination from corporate America, according to Bloomberg. What is this? Labor Department stats for the last 4 years showed huge boom in unemployment for people born outside the U.S. and negative growth of U.S.-born workers. Yes. Isabella Maria De Luca says, in 2000, England and Wales reported 7,800 Rs. That's the bad assault on the ladies. In 2024, that number, just 24 years later, has gone up about 1,000 per. What is that? 100% would be one time. 1,000% to 71,000. Because their nation has been overrun with invaders who don't want to assimilate. They want to dominate. They want to invade and conquer and destroy all the ladies. That's a global war. That's an invasion. Trump taking questions. So Trump is doubling down on this claim, says Russell Brand. Let's listen.
I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah. I would.
Okay. He's saying whatever she thinks is credible, we should release. So I'm guessing they left a whole bunch of poison pills behind, implicating all sorts of people that were not implicatable. They were framed. Shocking. Trump's been getting framed for 8 years now, 9 years now. It seems like President Trump is doubling down on that claim. So let's see what Bondi does release. He says she should release the credible stuff. So let's see what that means. What is this? I don't see the citations or the sources. The claim here on I-24 is that Palestinian Muslim warns that New York City mayoral candidate Mamdani is an Islamist communist who speaks Taqiyya, who will invite the Muslim Brotherhood to destroy America. Well, there's no video clip to watch. I don't know what I-24 is here. Larry Record Jr. sharing this. I don't know this account. So I don't have a lot to go with on this one. So I don't have comments other than I would need to see some corroboration on in what are the names of these people? What Palestinian Muslim is saying this? So I could do research. This doesn't pass the smell test for me.
A lot of your vibe is that you're off the grid. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Thomas Massey talking about a better way to live.
The grid in the camper and off the grid at home. So I haven't bought public utilities in 20 years.
Wow. You drove, you just took me into your home, in your camper home vehicle.
It's a F-250 with a truck camper. And I lived for 2 solid years in it in D.C. Still occasionally do.
And where would you park that thing at?
Well, I don't want to disclose where I park, but I did get in trouble. Even though it fits in the back of a pickup, it's got a shower, bathroom, stove, and a fridge.
Oh, it felt super when I was in there. That living arrangement in there, I could have definitely cozied up. It felt very cool. The milk felt cold in there. We had a little cup of milk, which is definitely it's
raw milk.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Hopefully,
don't tell anybody I cross state lines with that. You know, that kind of ties into when I go to DC. That gives me some independence because if everything goes to hell and I'm no longer a congressman and I don't have a job, I still got a house where all my own utilities are taken care of. It runs off solar, got a backup generator, got a well that I dug.
So you don't pay an electric bill?
No electric bill, no water bill, no sewer bill. I do have an internet bill because I use Starlink.
Oh, yeah. And is that legal? Are you allowed to legally be a person like that?
Are you legally allowed to be a person like that? Theo Von is kind of great. He's got this childlike curiosity. It's very jarring. Like Massey just started laughing there like he got hit with a frying pan because it was funny. It's just like the way you framed it is exactly as absurd as it actually is. It's crazy.
You know, they tried to bring more regulation to our county 20 years ago before I was a congressman, and I wrote letters to the editor and mobilized people, and we stopped them from bringing more regulation to our county. So it's still legal where I live.
Because it seems like a very like libertarian or almost like like a lot of the ideas seem almost very like something you would see like on the Democratic Party.
Oh, I'd say I'm the greenest member of Congress, and no Democrat has come after me. No fact checker has ever tried to check that fact because they know it's true.
And what kind of group do you have helping you over there? Because I don't think you can't get out there first thing every day and do it all.
I do it myself, 90% of it. I mean, if I'm in DC and the cattle get loose, I got a neighbor. You know, you got to have some neighbors that'll help you.
Yeah.
And the deal is, I'll help them when they need help.
Oh, this is you right here.
Yeah, that's one of my gardens, and there's some of my chickens clucking around.
Oh, yeah.
I built a mobile pen that moves with the chickens to keep the coyotes from eating them. Now, it's like a Roomba. Think of a Roomba with 50 chickens in it.
Okay.
Moving around in my yard. Oh, there's a picture of my cattle. They are Angus crossed with Wagyu. I call them Wangus.
Oh, wow.
Wangus beef.
It's a little, oh yeah, it's a little urban over there. Definitely. That's definitely,
There's the, you know, not the black sheep, but the white cow. He kind of stands out. I say I feel like that white cow in DC some days.
A lot of your vibe is that you're off the grid. I've heard that.
Yeah. Off the grid in the camper and off the grid at home. So I haven't bought public utilities in 20 years.
Wow. You just took me into your home, in your camper home vehicle.
It's a F-250 with a truck camper, and I lived for 2 solid years in it in DC.
There you go. That's kind of the way, huh? I do sort of dream of that life. It is what I want. By the way, just touch on a story. Paranormal investigator Dan Rivera dies suddenly in Annabelle Haunted Doll Tour. Completely out of the blue. Everyone's talking about this today. I don't have it. I have it on Facebook, but I don't have it on the stack. But have you heard about that story? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the abortion industry is almost comically evil. A year ago,
This is a O'Keefe Media Group video.
Started my own organization, and I based it around the idea that, like, if I FOIA request information on 100 abortionists, that one of them will come back with a criminal record.
That's why I'm concerned, is because you guys have a pedophile working for you here on staff.
These guys are so evil. Well, the very first one turned out to be a pedophile. Anybody who has the ability to smash the skull of an infant, what they're capable of has no limits, like the level of evil. But as far as like in the movement, there's so much pressure, there's so much stuff, like aspects involved, whether it is pride, whether it is money, or any of these things that influence people, that, you know, sometimes like it just becomes this thing of spiritual warfare.
So yeah, James O'Keefe putting some content out, doing some good stuff. Colin Rugg reports an Indian man in Canada who tried paying for S from a 15-year-old gets a conditional discharge simply because he's an immigrant, and a conviction would delay his citizenship. Utter insanity. Canada is a joke. This story doesn't even seem remotely possible. Colin Rugg usually... according to Justice Paul Thomas O'Mara, treating 30-year-old Akash Kumar Kant like a Canadian citizen is unfair. Because the conviction would unfairly impact his life. Oh, would it? Mr. Kant is a permanent resident seeking Canadian citizenship and professional licensing, said O'Mara. I'm sorry, what? More lenient sentence, including a discharge? A conviction would lead to severe collateral consequences, such as jeopardizing his immigration status? Good, kick him the fuck out. Are you kidding me? Who would bend over backwards for an S abuser to prey upon your children and your community? I mean, come on now. These stories, they seem fake. They all seem fake. Yeah, check that judge's hard drive. I just, it can't be real. I guess it is real. This lady says, resident of Gray's Landing is the low-income apartment complex across from the ICE building in Portland. How are things going? Well, about as expected. She's terrified. She had one of the protesters charge at her with a knife and has been threatened multiple times. When I left the interview, the man who threatened her was outside of her building. He's a known Antifa militant. These blue cities are allowing the foot soldiers to harass Americans. This is domestic terrorism. This is war. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic or controversial. You don't cede your cities to invaders who are going to terrorize the residents and get to walk away without being called all the things that you are. Traitors, enemies. Anna Paulina Luna says, I successfully censured the disgraced Adam Schiff for lying to Congress. So it does not surprise me that he's being accused of mortgage fraud and more lies. Guess what? It's 3 pointing back. I've told you about the lyrics to my song, 3 pointing back. It's online, Twist of Nothing. And if you point a finger at somebody, you have 3 pointing back at yourself. 3 fingers pointing back. Democrats almost always accuse the others of what they're guilty of doing. So Adam Schiff has now been hit with a criminal referral, and if he's found guilty, should be punished to the full extent of the law. Americans should expect better from their elected leaders. Here's Lindy Lee having a conversation about blue state illegals.
Representation of undocumented immigrants in our census is somehow rigging elections, but it's not.
But it is, though.
Yeah.
How? If it gives an extra electoral college point, then how is that not rigged? No, I'm talking about the 435, the way that
Both
they're divvied
of
up.
those are,
right,
okay,
that's primarily the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the numbers today, and I'm happy to dig in my phone, but California would have lost seats in the 2020 census were it not for illegal aliens.
Understood.
Even if it were 1 or 2 seats, I think that's 1 to 2 seats too many.
That is 1 or 2 seats too many. And if it's 10, then strip them immediately.
So it's electoral.
You need to represent you need to be a homeowner in your homeowners association to get a vote in your homeowners association. This isn't rocket surgery.
It's controlling Congress.
Yeah.
And it's subsequently controlling votes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Electoral representation of.
It is absolutely stealing. You're diluting the other people's votes. It's a lot like the Federal Reserve devaluing the purchase power of your dollar. They're stealing from you.
Civic affairs is basically how
This is Mike Benz.
The military launders the ability to manipulate civilian politics. They'll call it civil affairs, within that you have like civil political or political military. And this is because we have 4 quadrants in our sort of doctrinal approach to war, 4 ways to win or lose a war. You have the strategic, the tactical, the logistical, and the political. And oftentimes what wins or loses a war is the political side of it. A lot of historians think the reason that we lost Vietnam was not because we were militarily outdone by hillside guerrillas, but because we lost the political will to do it. And so the civil affairs branch exists to essentially have the military take control or exert influence on the civilian branch of government. And it kind of inverts the entire conception of a democracy where you have the civilian as a commander-in-chief and the civilian-run government, civilian-run military. When the military is top-down controlling the civilian affairs, then you basically have a military junta. And this is what Trump was confronted by during his whole first term, was the civil affairs branch of the military laundering funds to censor the internet. I ran into this in the internet censorship story left, right, and center. I had to become a specialist in the area because I didn't know what the hell the civil affairs branch was doing, funding the censorship of the entire Trump movement. Civic affairs is basically how...
So there's a lot at play. There's a lot of moving parts right now.
They didn't talk about Epstein one time.
A lot of moving parts, a lot of geopolitical things that we're trying to finalize. And it is possible that President Trump's signaling, can we just finish these things need to happen in a specific order. Wink, wink. Here's the footage. Oh, wait, now you're clamoring for it. I'll show it. Just give me a minute. Got to land a couple planes that are currently in the air before we start tearing up the airfield. Is that a fair request? Now, maybe it would be a better request and a more of a fair request if he actually said that in those words. That'd be a lot easier to stomach, wouldn't it? Yeah, Officer Tatum here saying that Democrats didn't care about this until just recently. So is it just they're turning on a dime and having no moral convictions, or is Trump playing them like a fiddle to walk right into this trap?
In the 4 years Joe Biden was in office.
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding? There are only 2 things that are possible. Option 1, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and the MAGA extremists
MAGA extremists. They're so stupid.
intentionally lied to the American people for years. Option 2 is that, in fact, there's reason for the American people to be concerned as it relates to what information has not been released that could be damaging to the Trump administration and the friends and family of the Trump administration. And
they're only seeing an option or 2. There's a few other options.
They're billionaire corrupt.
And if this nitwit is getting close to having it figured out, maybe this is a trap.
Supporters.
I would support Hakeem Jeffries' hypothesis if I saw him with the same energy when it came to Joe Biden's health. I do have to acknowledge there is some truth to what he's saying as far as him piggybacking off of the sentiment that people may be feeling. And I think that that's why I was frustrated with the way Donald Trump and them rolled this out, because you're giving them fuel for the fire. Yep. It makes absolutely no sense to think that Donald Trump is trying to hide corruption, but I think that there could be a case where there are people on a list that they don't want to put out there. There could
Deb saying Trump shouldn't call his base bad people. Yeah, he shouldn't go after Thomas Massey or Rand Paul like that. You know, there's a lot that's not making sense right now. We're doing what? We're arming Ukraine again. Israel's attacking another nation. Like what in the world is happening? And we feel really helpless to it. We feel like we're stuck on the sidelines, but we don't know what we don't know. Donald Rumsfeld of the Bush administration around 9/11 said there are known unknowns and unknown unknowns. There's a lot of wisdom in that. There's things that you don't know, and there's things that you don't know that you don't know. I think we're in a spot where we don't know everything that there is to know, and we don't know it. We think we know it. Epstein, bad guy, child, go get him. Get them all. Okay, well, what's going on in New Mexico? Any of those claims? Are these accurate claims? Are these shakedowns? Are these more set-up attempts like Perkins Coie in the Steele dossier to frame Trump? Oh, yeah, Russian collusion. He had a confiscated videotape of a Russian hooker peed on him in a hotel. What? Yeah, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and the deep state collaborated to frame Trump, to stage a coup on the country to make sure he couldn't take power, stay in power, run a second time. Tried to throw him in jail, tried to Epstein him. I think it's very possible there's unknown unknowns here.
Could be people that flew on Epstein's jet that had nothing to do with Epstein Island. But
and a lot of people that could get wrapped up. Like I said, it's a dartboard. Outer ring, middle ring, center ring, bullseye. There's a lot of people that took darts. It doesn't mean that they're the worst of the worst.
when you put a list out there with people's names on it, other people who are conspiratorial are gonna paint you with a broad brush and say that you're a and maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump is trying to avoid putting people's name out there because they know people don't have enough common sense to do some real research, and they will paint everybody with a broad brush, and some people's careers and livelihood will be completely ruined because people would make up lies about them.
Jump to conclusions, tar and feather them before you even know what the details are.
Just because they happen.
That's the Obama way. Anytime there was an officer involved shooting or something, oh, just everything's burning immediately. Like, you don't know any of the details of any of the stories. But they're the ones out there with their foot soldiers making sure that the media is eating it up. They have paid agitators that are causing maximum damage to make it seem like there's a nationwide movement, whereas Obama and the deep state Democrats are just racial arsonists, opportunists at that. As Rahm Emanuel famously said, the former Obama chief of staff, never waste an opportunity to take advantage of a crisis. There's a lot that we don't know, and we've seen the past 16 years of how Obama operates. And yeah, there's a lot of people that on the dartboard, on the outer ring, look, Epstein was targeting anybody with any power. So just being on the outer ring means nothing to me. Oh, he was seen somewhere. Oh, they were talking. Yep. Oh, there's pictures. Yep. That's outer ring stuff. I would need to see more if it goes on inner ring, but that's a different story.
To be on a jet that probably Epstein chartered the people who had money and who had fame.
And yeah, the jet, I was famously asked if I had been on Epstein's jet, and I did go with Cheryl and the kids. I didn't go to the island, but we did use the plane of Jeffrey Epstein on about 2 or 3 occasions.
So he can get on their good side.
So, Deb, you're right. Trump isn't stupid. So WTF is he doing? I agree. Trump isn't stupid. So what is he doing? We don't know what we don't know. I'm okay setting this on the side for a week. I mean, I can't because it's all anybody wants to talk about. But on the flip side of that, there is a lot of other stuff going on, and I'm okay doing that. Yeah, guilt by association isn't guilt. Kenneth, like a circle in a circle, like a wheel within a wheel. Exactly.
Administration has put
Real America's Voice here saying the Trump admin says illegals will not be allowed bonds or bail.
New policy in place saying that detainees will not be able to have bail and bonds to get out. Anthony,
yeah, because you're in here illegally. You haven't gone to the CBP Home app and said, "Look, I'd like to get my papers in order. I really do want to be here. Someone else invited me. I was brought in. I thought it was legal. I was doing a thing. You've changed the policy. I'd like to stay. Can you run a back? Do I have to go back? Can you run a background check? And can I stay working this job and get a temporary purple card? It's not a green card and it's not a residency card, but it's just identifying a temporary worker program that can be revoked at any point. I mean, I'm in favor of a system if there are circumstances like that where some people, if they want to make sure they've raised their hand and volunteered accurate information, maybe they could stay. That is a fast track to being escorted out the building and then back through the front door with the bouncer once you've showed your ID and you paid your cover charge. I'm open to a conversation about that.
Semi-ish controversial, but it kind of seems to make sense. If the whole thing is that, well, they're in the country illegally and you can't find them after and they're not going to show up for their court dates, it would make sense that you don't want these people out on bail, even if they could post it, which who knows if they can, especially in those no bail states where it gets kind of wonky between the federal government and the states. But outside of all of that, what do you think about this new policy implemented by the administration?
I mean, yeah, this should be a good reminder of why you should use the CBP Home app. Use it and expedite that process. Don't get caught up in this stuff.
Well, anyone with common sense who has a heart for humanity and doesn't want crime is going to be, I am assuming, going to be standing up and applauding that people who do bad things don't get out there and do more bad things. How many more Lake and Rileys do we need to have? How many more incidents with illegals, harming and preying on our American citizens do we need to go through to actually have it be taken seriously? And the only people who are affected by it, are the nacho scalp smelling, blue haired, septum piercings, basement dweller liberals that are out here that don't have any clue of how the real world works. And then they just want everything to be fair, except for those who oppose them. And every single time you see different things like this happen, all of the things start falling apart. All of the chips keep going back to the same places where they were, because none of these things are doing anything because there's no consequence to it. And the minute you add a consequence and actually have a strong arm to uphold that is now when people have an issue. And the saying is true. If you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime. It's that simple.
David, one of the big conflations that people make is, well, being in the United States illegally isn't a crime. And then there's obviously the back and forth between whether you entered and overstayed a visa is different than if you've hopped the border. This specifically, this policy.
And I knew, look, I've met a lot of people that we probably all have. There were fine people on both sides.
Is if you entered the country illegally, again, not overstayed visas, not overstayed travel time, which is different. Why do you think the administration made that delineation? Is that like a legal thing in your mind, or is it just?
And yeah, Deb, I did play a lot of clips from the TPUSA show, TPUSA thing over the weekend, yesterday and the day before. Yeah, yesterday was cut short. I don't think I addressed it yet on the show, but it was yet another power outage. So I watched Thomas Massey being off the grid. TNAM Preparedness. That's a good Facebook group to join if you haven't yet on Facebook. But yeah, having a power supply where you don't have to rely on municipal power, that is clutch, especially since it's been so unreliable with these storms. So yeah, very important we think about getting some power generation capabilities, don't you think? But yeah, I have been checking out some of these videos over the weekend. Tucker had a lot to say too. So did Charlie. A lot of people did. A lot of interesting conversations. We need more conversation.
Hey, this is what we can do right now, and further notice what'll end up happening with the people that overstayed visas and that sort. I'm not sure if that question makes sense, but
no, I get it. I'm glad you asked me, and I'm still getting over Anthony's nacho scalp smelling. What? Anyway, yes, I'm glad you asked me this question, because this is something we keep falling for on our side, because the narrative has been, we're deporting criminal illegal aliens. And so they're like, what? Now they're rounding up people that aren't criminals. And then our side says, well, if you entered the country illegally, you're a criminal. It's actually really, really simple. But the law requires, if you come into the country illegally, for you to be detained. That is the standard. It's an exception to release somebody instead of detention. The only reason why we're doing it under the Biden administration is because so many people were coming into the country illegally, we didn't have a place to put them. So they were kind of shipping them all over the place. A lot of people thought maybe there was some funny business going on with elections. But at the end of the day, they're supposed to be detained by law. This whole idea that they're supposed to be.
Yeah, you're detained and it's sorted out. You don't go backward from that point. You go forward and you finish the task.
Released out in the country. I understand. They're here illegally. You can actually go to a checkpoint and apply for legal entry, and you can say, I'm seeking asylum. These people come into the country illegally, get apprehended, and say, wait, no, I'm going to claim asylum. They go, okay, that's cool, but you're still going to jail and, well, detention until we can figure out if you actually have a valid asylum claim. And what most people don't know is the majority of asylum claims are invalid and they actually get sent back. And so that's why these people are just.
Yeah, because it's been an absolutely abused system by Barack Hussein Obama, the Democrats, the NGOs, and the special interest groups that are hell-bent on fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Disappearing because they know they're going to get sent back anyway. So no, absolutely. Why would you give them bail? They're going to be sent back, and they know that. So they're going to hide and commit crimes on American people. This whole idea that they have to be criminals in order to be detained is not consistent with the law. And we need our side to be more consistent with that and say, no, they don't have a right to just roam around. They don't have a right to be in this country.
Correct. Well, to further echo your point, I don't know why the only argument that we have been making is, hey, we're just following the law. Like if you're just going to say, hey, we're going to ignore some federal laws and follow some of them, might I suggest the IRS tax code for a law that we should ignore? But again, I probably am speaking onto deaf ears on that one. Administration has put a new policy in place saying that detainees will not be able to have bail and bonds.
I mean, that's the way it should be, right? You got to work your way through the system. Real Ben Geller says, I obtained a document that Democrats are distributing calling on the U.S. military to overthrow President Trump. These people are sick. It says, we respectfully call on U.S. military to fulfill its oath to defend our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and arrest Donald Trump, to be charged and tried for repeatedly violating federal court orders, and his oath of office. His oath of office to protect the country. Court orders that have been routinely how am I trying to say this? That the Supreme Court has routinely verified, validated. These people are wonky. By doing so, he created a constitutional crisis that threatens the very fabric of our democracy. All right, that is so over the top, theater kitty. We said when you fail to indict Democrats, they get bolder, stupider, and more treasonous. Drop the hammer and indict the traitors already. Do you see that? Look, it's written in text right there. I know. Deb says I'm about 90% there on the Tucker laugh. No, I think I'm 100% there when I do it right. I wasn't able to do it right yesterday. I'm not going to do it right now. But yeah, the Tucker laugh is pretty funny. It's funny to me. Okay, yeah, MTG saying it was a procedural vote. They're just not giving Democrats floor control in the House. 23andMe exec.
Got your privacy statement right here. It says that without their consent, you can't share their information. You're about to sell it.
Senator, that consent is, essentially for,
not real.
Not share for research purposes, and we are not selling it for research purposes.
So when you tell the consumer, give us your personal information and we'll take money from you, and we won't give it to anybody without your consent, it's not real. It just means, maybe kind of depends on the day.
Senator, I will say that our customers' data is their own. They have the right at all times to access that information. They can edit it.
Well, sure they can, but you're about to sell it to who knows who. They can't control it. You said to Senator Moody that consumers have complete control of their data. Complete. How can they have complete control if you're about to sell it without their consent?
Senator, they can delete that data anytime up until the sale and after.
Oh, okay. They can delete the data. Have you fixed the ability of customers to go on your website and delete it? Because right after you announced your sale, your deletion page went down. I hold in my hand here an article from the Wall Street Journal. 23andMe site goes down as customers struggle to delete their data. Can they even get onto your site to delete their data?
They can, Senator. And
you fixed this?
That was an issue that, yes, we fixed immediately after.
It's up and running now? Customers can go on?
Customers can go on and they can delete their data.
What happens when they go onto your site to delete their data?
When a customer logs into their account at 23andMe, they go to their settings page. And there's a section there where just click delete my data. It confirms that they want to delete their data, and it's deleted automatically.
Is that true? Let's take a look. Okay. When they go onto your page, they get an opportunity. It says permanently delete the data. So they click the button that says permanently delete the data, and then they get a notification that says your account is no longer accessible. How do they know if they can't access their account anymore? How do they know their data's been deleted?
Because we send them a notification that their information has been deleted.
You send it once, and how long does that take?
Our policies state that, we will delete their data within 30 days. And in most cases, it is automatic and happens much quickly.
And when you deleted it, it's deleted. It's gone forever.
All the genetic data is deleted forever. And yes.
Really? Because that's not what your privacy statement says in the fine print. Let's read it. What your statement says is, we retain personal information for as long as necessary to provide the services and fill the transactions you have requested, to comply with our legal obligations, resolve disputes, enforce agreements, etc., etc. And then it goes on, 23andMe and or our contracted genotyping laboratory will retain your genetic information even if you choose to delete your account.
Senator, 23andMe, it does not retain any genetic information regarding the consumer once they delete their account.
It says right here that you will retain genetic information, including date of birth and sex, even if you choose to delete your account. Got your privacy statement right here. It says.
So there you go. If you have 23andMe, you might want to consider deleting your account info. Supreme Court has cleared the way for the Department of Education mass firings by Trump. Supreme Court still has the president's back for now. Jake Tapper talks about the only 2024 debate, how Biden showed up late, wandered around, didn't do any prep work, got lost, seemed confused. It was just all sorts of bad. All right, Israel strikes Syria's Ministry of Defense in Damascus.
Who you praying to? Watch his fingers what they say.
Music. I can't show it if there's music. So that's what Israel is doing, expanding the war. I mean, once again, Dave Smith's like, if you go out and your friend keeps getting you into fights, I don't know, back at it. Damascus, Syria, right? Israel strikes Syria's Ministry of Defense building in Damascus. Is it just about Israeli expansion? That's what the claims are. Can I get an account? Why? Because account if I want it. It sounds like a Three Stooges skit. It might be Three Stooges, right? The Beyonce story. Yikes. Anyway, yeah. I don't know what else I have to add about the new Israeli strikes at the moment, but we have shared them. And we'll refresh it tomorrow. And if you have updates throughout the day, share them on X with us. Toria Brooks says, President Trump says his former supporters have been conned into believing that Jeffrey Epstein bullshit. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will. I mean, what do you make of this? The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again. Just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself, a totally fake and made-up story used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 presidential election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Why are you calling this a hoax? And my past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will, even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years. I've had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Democrats is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Why are we calling it a hoax? Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. The tone is off. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy fired Chief of Staff Heather Flick Melanson and Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Hannah Anderson. Mike Davis says it's generally illegal for the Justice Department to publicly disclose evidence from criminal investigations, especially grand jury investigations, with 2 exceptions. Trial proceedings includes pretrial discovery and freedom of information request. Disclosing either is highly illegal. Anyone can file a FOIA request or to unseal court records, but public dumps of criminal evidence violate the law. Toria Brooks says the White House was thrown into lockdown mode after a cell phone was hurled over the fence on Tuesday afternoon. I did not catch that one. That was yesterday, I guess. Bricks News reports today Israel attacked Syria's presidential palace and general staff building, ignoring U.S. requests. So Israel's gone rogue, and they are convinced that Trump isn't going to do anything about it. Is Trump compromised? These are the questions we have to ask. There's the
جديدة وغارة ثانية غارات عنيفة جدا 4 صواريخ 4 صواريخ 4 صواريخ وائل غارة عنيفة جدا
I don't know what this
غارات عنيفة للغاية
probably saying holy crap.
غارات عنيفة للغاية وائل
The deep state's been in Syria forever.
عنيفة للغاية غارات عنيفة للغاية استهدفت
قصف هائل
العاصمة
ما نشهده
قصف قوي جدا وائل
قصف قوي جدا وشهدناه على الهواء مباشرة الآن.
نعم وائل
3 أو 4 صواريخ انهمرت بشكل مباشر على مبنى الأركان العامة في ساحة الأمويين في دمشق.
نعم يا أخي والله في 20 ثانية الطائرات الحربية الإسرائيلية لا تزال تحلق حتى هذه اللحظة في سماء غارة جديدة وائل غارة جديدة وائل غارة ثانية غارات عنيفة جدا 4 صواريخ 4 صواريخ
20 ثانية. All right, I've listened to about enough of that.
لا بالله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله لا بالله.
Iran. In his second public speech since the end of the war with Israel, Ayatollah Khamenei threatens we are ready to respond to a renewed military attack against us. This time we will strike our enemies harder than during the war. All right. Well, this has been escalated because of Israel, right? Or not because of Israel? Which one? Well, definitely Syria's attack was from Israel today. I believe that's confirmed. I mean, I'll reserve my ability to walk that back, but it's being reported as common knowledge, but that wouldn't be the first time something that hasn't been fully verified has been reported with such certainty, even though it shouldn't deserve it. Alexandra Marshall here, just giving us a little bit of perspective, and I'm going to wrap the show on this point here today. She says, I was born to a generation that could buy things once and keep them. A CD, a movie, a piece of software. You were given a physical thing with a set price that you controlled. Now everything is a subscription. It's more expensive over time. And then it's taken off of you for violating terms and services. Oh, permanently connected to the update matrix. Oh, how convenient. Easily lost with no compensation. Oh, crap. Cannot pass it down to anyone. This type of modernity is exploitation under the excuse of convenience. Well said. This type of modernity is exploitation under the excuse of convenience. And we said, we don't want this new permanent rental world. Those are the topics I wanted to share with you today on the TNAM Daily Show. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, everybody in chat. Follow the New American Media on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube at the New American Media. Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat on X at American_Media_. Subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. Thank you to all of our Patreon sponsors. And if anybody else wants to sign up, we're at the New American Media on Patreon. Tip jar, Venmo, and Cash App at BrianEngelman, and PayPal, fuzzinstallment at yahoo.com, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. David asking again, what are they blowing up and why? Exactly. There's so many questions. And I'm sure we're going to unpack a lot of them between now and tomorrow's show, seemingly going to be at noon. At some point, this might be an evening show. So be it. Might be early morning. Don't know exactly yet. But for now, I'm kind of locked in on the noon thing for a minute. We'll see how long this lasts. But wherever we are, we're going to unpack the news together. And that's what the New American Media is all about. You are the New American Media. We are the new American media. They, the old American media, hate us, which is why we're fighting back. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. We love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. See you tomorrow.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.